yards.
58-yard attempt, 1 second remaining on the clock. Obviously, big playoff implications for both of these teams, and he is going to miss it.
Wow.
And so the Lions will come away with the win. 20-17, the final there from MetLife. Ooh, so sorry. Mike White's upset even though he didn't play. I'm sure Zach Wilson is too. Of course, we'll have their post-game press conferences coming up in just a little bit, but Lions get a win. 20-17, the final there. Okay, Jacksonville. A 48-yard game-tying field goal, Jay, as time expires. So it looks like we're headed to overtime. 34-34 is the score there. 34-34 between the Jaguars and the Cowboys at the end of the fourth quarter. We're going to overtime in Jacksonville.
Going to overtime in Jacksonville.
We're in overtime in Houston right now between the Texans and Chiefs. Their score is 24-24.
Some crazy stuff going on right now, Shay. Some crazy stuff going on.
Yeah. So Cowboys and Jags are in overtime, 34-34 the score there. Chiefs and Texans in overtime, 24-24 the score there. Chiefs have the football right now, so we'll see what happens there. But 2 overtime games from the early window. Eagles have the ball. 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, 25-20. Patriots and Raiders have kicked off. No score yet, but the Raiders have the football. Cardinals and Broncos, Jay, have also kicked off. Now, this game's really not that exciting, but the big story in this game, Jay, is the fact that Russell Wilson did pass concussion protocol. He's not starting for the Broncos today. Brett Rippon is instead.
Yeah, they said that's cool, but you sent this one out, buddy.
Brett Rippon starting instead. And I got to say, Russell Wilson, for all the flack he's gotten this year, he was like, all right, no problem. I think it's good. Let me take a game reset. But when you're paying your quarterback, and I know we've said this so many times, that much money, and you've looked this awful, for him to sit a game out this late in the season, I don't love it. But if it means another week for him to get healthy, because I don't want to speculate about concussion, so be it.
Exactly.
So Brett Rippon getting the start today for Denver. He's 2 of 3 for 17 yards so far. Broncos have the football to start the game against the Arizona Cardinals. But we're still focused on this early window of games because teams are in overtime. Again, Kansas City and Houston in overtime right now with under 7 minutes to go. I don't know what's with Houston the last 2 weeks, but they are getting the most out of their players and trying to figure out a way here. So touchdown wins the game for Kansas City, who has the ball right now with 7 minutes to go in overtime. Again, Cowboys and Jags in overtime as well. They're tied up at 34 apiece. Finals so far today. Saints beat the Falcons 21-18. Lions beat the Jets 20-17. Steelers beat the Panthers 24-16. Jay, let's focus in a little bit more here on this Lions and Jets game because the story was Zach Wilson trying to win back the fan base, trying to win back the locker room, trying to get a win for the Jets. And he played okay. He was 18 of 35. He had 2 touchdowns, a costly interception. He was sacked a couple times. But what do you anticipate this post-game press conference being from Robert Saleh and Zach Wilson?
I think there's going to be a lot of questions on the coaching staff, honestly, with how certain things were handled. The 4th and inches that ended up gave way to a tight end scoring 50-yard touchdown for the Lions for the go-ahead score. You have your timeouts late in the game. How they were used will come into question from Robert Saleh here. And I think with Zach Wilson, the best way to kind of put into perspective what we saw from him was we saw moments of greatness. We saw misses. We saw glaring misses. We saw an inconsistent offering. A guy who showed you why he was taken second. A guy with crazy ability and moxie, given the opportunity and put them in position for a 58-yard field goal. A couple deep bombs he connected on. He had the billing as a long ball guy. He showed that today. But he's got work to do. So I think this was, I'd have to say, trending towards positive more than negative, but definitely inconsistency from a guy who's trying to find consistency, and that's what you battle as a young quarterback.
Again, we'll take you out to those press conferences once we have them live here on Game Day on ESPN Radio. In the meantime, we'll step away because we got some teams at the 2-minute warning, like the Eagles and the Bears, and then some teams in overtime. We'll update you on what happens next. This is Game Day on ESPN Radio.
Hi, this is Dory Noka from Dory and Mel on ESPN Radio. All of us at ESPN Radio would like to wish you happy holidays and a fantastic new year.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-494-6139. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-494-6139.
Yo, Pablo Torre here, host of the ESPN Daily Podcast. When you want to go beyond your feed, when you want to get inside the score, when you want to get behind the highlight, there's ESPN Daily. Go deeper into the stories of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you. ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Pablo Torre. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
It's the NBA on Christmas Day. I'ma take my shot and make it fade away.
A Christmas Day NBA doubleheader.
Poked away by Giannis.
Woo! Wow, everybody take a deep breath out there. You taking a deep breath over there, Tommy?
No, I did.
Well, the Eagles win.
13-1.
13-1. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't easy. It wasn't their best performance of the year. But the Eagles did indeed pull out the win in Chicago. A very interesting game to break down here on Postgame. Our watching, we're going to go back to a little Game of Thrones here. Our watch has not ended. We are still keeping an eye on Dallas and Jacksonville in overtime, but we're not too worried about the Cowboys. There will be plenty of time to talk about that game coming up and what they're doing in Dallas, because the fact of the matter is the Eagles take care of business. They cannot be caught. And, well, today the Eagles took care of business. We'll say they took care of business. They won the game, 13-1. They take down the Chicago Bears by a score of 25-20. And, by the way, Connor Thomas, Tom Alvord on your Eagles postgame here.
Hello.
You guys here on the radio. You guys on YouTube on 97.5 The Fanatic's YouTube channel. You can jump in at 610-632-0975 with reaction, because I am sure we're going to get a lot of interesting reaction from today's game. A lot of places to go with what just occurred at Soldier Field up there in Chicago. I'm going to start with this. The weather, not ideal. Okay, windy, cold, not like the best condition, not by far from perfect conditions. You saw it on the Jake Elliott missed field goal that could have played a big factor. Luckily, it didn't late in that game, but the wind was, and it kind of seemed, right, Tom, like, because they talked about it a little in the open, and then they didn't mention it a lot over the course of the broadcast, because it didn't feel like the typical Chicago wind where it's constantly blowing and you can constantly see, like, the flags on the top of the uprights are 90-degree angle.
Yes.
But you could tell from the Jake Elliott missed field goal that it seemed like the wind was swirling a little bit. So maybe that factored into the two Jalen Hurts interceptions. The one was just a terrible decision. The one that Quez Watkins didn't come back for, the time you were saying it looked like he should have maybe come back for and had an opportunity yet, was a little bit less questionable. But the Eagles with 3 turnovers today, it was not their cleanest game offensively by any stretch of the imagination. It wasn't great conditions either. But this time of year, and with playoffs coming and everything, you're going to have to deal with the elements. And more so than the elements. The elements is kind of like the built-in excuse, and I don't think the Eagles are going to make any excuses, and they don't have to because they won the game. And there were some good things out of this performance. We're going to have plenty of positives to talk about. But when I look at this game, and I look at the tightness of a game against a 3-win opponent, for a team that just moved to 13-1 and is the best team in football still, and will continue to be, the game plan left a lot to be desired outside of maybe the last 2 or 3 drives. It just seemed like a game plan the Eagles had today. And I'm not trying to come on here and just be negative after the Philadelphia Eagles went to 13-1. We are happy that the Eagles won the game today. We are on to Dallas. We are focused on a huge matchup on Christmas Eve. And the Philadelphia Eagles should handle the Cowboys. And we will have plenty of time to talk about that. But talking about what just occurred today, not in a negative standpoint, but in a practical standpoint, I don't think Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni had their best game putting together what they did offensively. Thought the running backs were hugely underutilized. I think in a game where you saw the conditions were tough, we're getting hit in the cold weather hurts a little bit more, and where you saw the opposing quarterback go down and go to locker room for a little bit, now Fields came back in the game, it was too much use of Jalen Hurts on the ground with design runs and not enough use of running backs in the actual running game when you have a guy in Miles Sanders that just came off 2 incredible games in a row, that has looked really, really good this year, has been a top running back in the NFL this season. Not the top, but a top running back in the NFL this season. It felt like a nonsensical game plan. Most games this year, a large majority of games this year, you look at the game plan and you say, it makes sense. I'm sorry, we have some breaking news.
Breaking news.
We have some breaking news. Dak Prescott has just thrown a pick six to lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Walk-off pick six by Dougie P and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Jacksonville Jaguars have just gotten a pick six against the Dallas Cowboys to cost them that. I do not know off the top of my head. We'll figure it out here shortly what that means for playoff scenarios. I think that could mean that the game against Dallas doesn't matter anymore.
There may be a potential the 1 seed's locked up. We'll let you know. We'll keep you updated as we get more information.
Because I don't know where Minnesota stands after that comeback win against the Colts. All that we know is Dallas has just lost. The Eagles have won today. That's a huge positive.
Wow.
A huge positive. That's such a jump in the right direction. And for anybody out there like me and like Tom that were a little bit concerned with I'll say again, the tightness of today's game, the quality of the win over the Chicago Bears, it wasn't the most quality win. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs are currently in overtime with a 1-win team in the Houston Texans. The Dallas Cowboys just lost in overtime on the road to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Philadelphia Eagles, you're going to have to confirm this for me as well, Tom. I don't believe they lost today.
They did not. That is correct.
So
this league is very weird. It is very week to week. I come on here and say it pretty much every other day. It feels like you said, Kansas City Chiefs going up against a 1-win Texans team in overtime. Dallas Cowboys going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who Jacksonville has been playing better. And Doug Peterson is a good head coach in this league, and Trevor Lawrence looks to be a good quarterback. That's still the Jacksonville Jaguars going up against a team with 3 losses coming into that game. And that's why I'm mainly positive after today's Eagles win. I am. It was ugly. It was not pretty at all. Jalen Hurts, you could argue, had his worst game of the year this year. And that's saying something when he racks up 315 yards in the air and has 3 rushing touchdowns to go along with 61 yards on the ground. But Jalen Hurts at times was inaccurate, bad decision-making. I thought the game plan today was very strange. Running backs had 6 carries through 3 quarters. I'll say that again. Your running backs had 6 carries through 3 quarters. I understand Miles Sanders had a fumble earlier in the game. Miles Sanders has been what you could argue a top 10 back in the league this year. He's had a really, really nice season, Miles Sanders. So I don't understand the lack of touches for him. Just 11
Makes no
touches.
Sense.
No, it doesn't. In a cold game, in a game where you can utilize the run game, you have the best offensive line in the world. Your running back in Miles Sanders has been good. I don't understand that at all. It was an odd game, strange game, but the fact that they can come out and find a way to win that game on the road in bad conditions when you get a late missed kick from Jake Elliott, who's been really good for the past 2 years and pretty much really good his entire tenure here in Philadelphia. And Jalen Hurts can make a throw when a throw needs to be made, and A.J. Brown can make a catch when a catch needs to be made. And that's what a good football team is. That's what a Super Bowl favorite football team is. It might not be pretty. It could be ugly 90% of the game, but when it matters most, much like the Indianapolis Colts game, you get it done when it matters. At the end, Jalen Hurts a huge throw to A.J. Brown late in that game, and they came away with the win. So frustrating, yes. There's things that may concern me a little bit going forward. If the offense and the offensive game plan from Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni looks like that in a playoff game, and they're that slow to adjust and not go to the run game and not trust their bell cow in Miles Sanders, that could be an issue. But for the most part, when I look around the league and see some of the scores and see how some of these games have turned out today, I can't help but be mostly positive after today's win.
Yes. Shout out to Raymond Dunn for this text that you just sent to us, by the way. Must be listening.
Raymond,
appreciate that. The Eagles can clinch the NFC East with a victory on Christmas Eve in Dallas. That's not the only way, obviously, to clinch, but very simple scenario. Eagles beat Dallas, NFC East is theirs. Don't have to do anything the rest of the way against the Saints or the Giants in the final week of the season.
Now, I'm curious, the 1 seed, obviously, because Minnesota pulls off that crazy comeback yesterday.
Thanks, Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, seriously. I'm curious if the 1 seed can be locked up with the win next week as well. Obviously, we'll get more information as the game or as the day goes along and as the show goes along, but pretty positive day for the Philadelphia Eagles when you look at their game and they come away with the win, and then the Dallas Cowboys choking, quote unquote, in overtime and throwing a pick 6. That's not a bad day here in Philadelphia for the most part.
And I already I put a tweet out while you were talking, Tom. Maybe Dak Prescott needs a better system and team, huh?
That's not a bad one, actually. Not bad at all.
Appreciate it. No, it's a good day largely for the Philadelphia
Real quick from Jeff McLean. With Cowboys OT loss, Eagles' magic number to get the 1 seed in the NFC is 1.
Okay.
They just need to win one of the final 3 or have the Vikings lose one. Again, that is from Jeff McLean on Twitter just 30 seconds ago.
So the Eagles, basically, here's your situation. The Eagles win Christmas Eve. They clinch the NFC East. They clinch the top seed in the NFC, and they're set. Now, you don't need Dallas at all. You don't need the Dallas game remotely. I guess, no. Yeah, you wouldn't need them for the NFC East either, because if you're going to clinch the 1 seed, that means you would clinch the division. So you just need
I know that they want to get it out of the way and get it out of the way.
Right. I'm not saying lose the Dallas,
No,
but
I
I'm
know.
saying you only need 1 win the rest of the way. Christmas Eve absolutely does not matter anymore. You just need to beat the Saints, the Giants, or the Cowboys, or Minnesota needs to lose, and you're fine.
You're in pretty great position here if you're the Philadelphia Eagles and us fans of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Guess that's what happens when you're a 13-1 football team.
Yeah,
right?
that helps.
Unfreaking believable. Wow. It's so many positives that come out of a day that's ugly, and that's why you stack wins early, and that's why you take care of business when you can, and that's why ugly wins still count as wins in the NFL. It's a beautiful thing. We're going to nitpick a little bit at points later in the program about some things we didn't like today, but largely a positive day for completely a positive day for the Philadelphia Eagles as they move just a step closer to the ultimate goal. 610-632-0975 is how you get in. We will take Dallas Cowboys hate. We will take Philadelphia Eagles love. We will take criticism of the game plan and the turnovers and whatever you want to get at after the last 4 hours of football. But, man, it's going to be a fun next couple hours here on Eagles Postgame. I'm going to take a quick break. Then we're going to come back with even more. Again, 610-632-0975 is how you get in. Man, going to be a fun postgame show here today on 97.5 The Fanatic. It's Connor Thomas, Tom Alvord. Again, quick break, and we're back right after this.
97.5 The Fanatic.
BetParks is all about football. The BetParks Sportsbook app hooks you up every weekend with special promos on college football Saturdays and pro football Sundays. Every Saturday, BetParks offers a special half the spread promo on one select college football game, and they cut the spread in half at the same odds. Every Sunday, BetParks presents the double the spread promo on one select pro football game and doubles the spread at the same odds. Check out details at the BetParks app, at BetParks on Twitter, or BetParks.com. Must be 21 and in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's Rich Gannon for the BetParks Casino and Sportsbook app. As a former MVP quarterback, I love a solid game plan. The new BetParks app is everything you want in a mobile sportsbook right from your phone. Check out pro football same-game parlays or bet live once the game starts. And right now, all new BetParks users get up to $750 in sportsbook bonuses back if your first bet isn't a winner. Download the new BetParks app at betparks.com. Win sports, BetParks.
See website for terms and conditions. Bonus funds must be wagered once, must be 21 and over, and in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
With car prices at an all-time high, our donors are now getting highest receipts ever. Don't miss out for 2022. Donate at carsforkids.org and your car can be picked up tomorrow.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Hurry! It's your last chance to donate for 2022.
If you run a small business, you need the most from every investment. That's why Comcast Business gives you more. Like more innovation with our new gig speed Wi-Fi, plus unlimited data. More speed from the largest, fastest, reliable network for small businesses. And more savings, up to 60% a year with Comcast Business Mobile. All from the company that powers more businesses than any other provider. When you need more, you need Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with fast, reliable internet for just $49 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Or ask how to get up to an $800 prepaid card with a qualifying bundle. Call or go online today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. EcoBill and autopay required. New 50 megabits per second internet customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Mobile savings compares pricing of top 3 carriers. Comcast Business Internet required.
New to the Bet Rivers Casino app? Then let's show you around, starting with tons of amazing slots, including the exciting Tiger Lord and Peacock Beauty. Or check out the action of Live Dealer Lightning Roulette and our incredible Live Dealer Blackjack. Plus, add our award-winning customer service and the fun never ends. Bet Rivers Casino app with slots and live dealer games. It's a whole new game.
Must be 21 plus. Available in Pennsylvania only. Void where prohibited. Terms and conditions apply. Presented by Rivers Casino Philadelphia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals for Business start now with fresh, limited quantity deals on tech to drive productivity. Save on select performance laptops and desktops powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything, and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Philly Pretzel Factory is now a proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. What better way to celebrate than with a giveaway? Philly Pretzel Factory is giving away 25 party trays each week of football season. All you need to do is stop by your favorite Philly Pretzel Factory location, scan the QR code at the register, and sign up for a chance to win. Or visit PhillyPretzelFactory.com to enter. Philly Pretzel Factory, proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Gather near and bring the cheer this holiday season. Dazzle and delight the love of your life with a gift from Hellsberg Diamonds. Don't miss great prices on stunning diamond studs, tennis bracelets, gemstone rings, and the year's must-have look, gold jewelry for stacking and layering. Another reason to go to Hellsberg? Get a free Microsoft Surface Laptop Go with a purchase of $1,699 or more. Visit Hellsberg.com or a store near you today. Limited time offer while supplies last. See online or in-store for details.
Last minute shopping? Good thing Ulta Beauty's first on your list. From gotta have it ready-to-go kits from Fenty and Benefit to cult favorite mascaras to simple yet perfect Ulta Beauty gift cards. We have gifts everyone will love this season. So get shopping, because our kind of holiday is you having your kind of holiday. Hurry to an Ulta Beauty near you or buy online and pick up in store. Ulta Beauty, the possibilities are beautiful.
Dash in, wrap up, and save at the JCPenney Super Saturday Sale. This weekend, get Disney toys and dress up now up to 30% off. Shop last-minute stocking stuffers like Yes Please Diamonds, $21.99 each. Or save up to 50% at our holiday home sale, plus an extra 30% with coupon. We got your holiday. JCPenney. Offers good on select items 12/16 to 12/18. Disney and Yes Please jewelry excluded from coupons. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Hey, it's Pat Egan, and I recently went to the all-new Sin City Cabaret for a game day, and holy shit was I impressed. Sin City is by far the largest and best-looking club in the area. The food was great. The TV was the biggest I've ever seen in a club, but the real draw here is what's on stage. Every single girl just was hotter than the next. I was a little distracted from the game, but in the best way possible. So next time you're looking for a party, just head to Sin City, 6130 Passyunk Avenue, and if you tell them I sent you, you get free admission before 11 p.m.
If you're placing bets on this weekend's games, call Free Winners for your free picks. Give Free Winners a call for your free picks at 888-366-3733. That's 888-366-FREE.
Philly, we're big fans of keeping you healthy. With Health Fanatics by Virtua Health, explore exclusive articles, expert insights, and so much more. Visit 97.5thefanatic.com/Virtua.
Listen to 97.5 The Fanatic everywhere. On Alexa at 975thefanatic.com, the Fanatic app, and now on Odyssey. In a world of division, we bring people together. 97.5 The Fanatic.
.431 here, 97.5 The Fanatic. The Eagles, 13-1.
13-1.
Wow, they moved to 13-1 after a gutsy, what we call it, gutsy 25-20 win over the Chicago Bears. Gritty is a great way to put it. Gritty win over the Chicago Bears in Chicago. And they get some help by Dougie P and the Jacksonville Jaguars as they knock off the Dallas Cowboys, and it's just absolutely a wonderful situation. Tom, I have a question from you.
Yes,
because I just got a text from our own Eric Camille.
Okay.
And he has a question about our opening segment.
Okay.
He wants to know what a Jaguar is.
Uh-oh.
Plural?
May you explain, please?
Do I say Jaguar?
Yeah, you say Jaguar.
What is it? Jaguar?
I don't know. Call it whatever you
Jaguar?
want. Jaguar. Coach.
Jaguar, Coach. Wire.
Just being a nudge. It's okay.
Nudge.
Who's being negative with the Eagles 13-1 and magic number 1 to clinch the top seed in the NFC? But yes, Jaguar, whatever you want to call them.
How about that?
The Jags. That makes it
Big
easy.
Big win for the Jags and Dougie P.
Huge for them.
And for us.
And for the Philadelphia Eagles. It was a tough week in general, and it's not over, of course. It's 4:32 on Sunday. There's still more games to be played. But we had the Saturday games. We had the Thursday night game. It was a weird week so far in the NFL. It's a tough week. And this is kind of the part of the season where weather starts to play a factor. There are some teams that have a lot to play for that are pressing. There are some teams that have nothing to play for that are playing really loose. I think you saw that both from the Chicago Bears and the Jacksonville Jaguars today. I didn't catch the Texans Chiefs, obviously, because we were watching the Eagles very closely, but I imagine that's something that you saw going on down there in Houston, too, where it's just kind of, and the Chiefs ended up pulling out that win. Not that it's relevant to the Eagles remotely, but we're in that point of the season where weird stuff starts happening. The pressure starts kicking in for the teams fighting for playoff seeding, playoff berths, division titles, things of that nature. And you kind of, at least I did. And Tom, I haven't gotten your perspective on this yet, but coming into this game against Chicago, I said it, I called it a trap game. And there will still be plenty of debate of whether or not it was actually a trap game, whatever. I'm not going to take the time to make that argument because that's not the point really of the postgame show. But the reason why I felt that way was I thought it was a tough circumstance for the Eagles to play their best game. And I thought the Bears do some things well that the Eagles have not played well against at points. So when you look at the Eagles' season so far, they've played prior to this week 2 bona fide running quarterbacks in Kyler Murray and Ryan Tannehill. Kyler Murray kind of torched him a little bit.
Towards the end, he definitely did. That fourth quarter, he was running all over the Eagles' defense.
And Tannehill didn't torch them, but he had a lot of opportunities where there was a lot of open field.
He was the leading rusher that day for Tennessee.
Which Derrick Henry had like 30-some yards. So.
Yeah.
But when I looked at Justin Fields, and Justin Fields is going to be a problem in this league at some point in his career.
Yeah, that kid's got some real skill. He needs help around him, and hopefully, as a football fan, hopefully the Bears are able to do that for him, but that kid has a ton of talent.
Yeah, that
almost
one run
single-handedly won that game for him.
Dude, that one run he made was amazing.
It's incredible. And as much as I thought coming into the game where it's, hey, you have Jalen Hurts, who's one of the best mobile quarterbacks in the league. The Eagles see him every day in practice. I know Fields being a running quarterback can cause issues for defenses. Obviously, I didn't think it would cause a huge issue for the Eagles defense today. And it's obvious I was wrong on that front because he was really good today. Kept him in that game, had 95 rushing yards, I believe. And he also went over 1,000 yards for the season on the ground today, Justin Fields.
Yeah. Now
he's going to cause headaches no matter what.
Let's look at the NFC and the potential path that the Eagles will have. Who do you have to worry about in that vein? Because Dak Prescott is mobile, but I don't think he's mobile to that degree.
No, definitely not.
So Dak Prescott goes more into the Daniel Jones category for me.
Even a little bit less than that, honestly.
Yeah, in that he can break one off every once in a while, but it's not a Kyler Murray. It's not a Justin
probably not in the
Fields.
game plan where you're worrying about Dak Prescott on the ground.
Outside of him, Brock Purdy's not going to do it with San Fran. No. Kirk Cousins is certainly not going to do it in Minnesota. Look, Daniel Jones didn't do it when the Eagles played the Giants earlier.
Jared Goff it's not going to do it. Geno Smith.
No, and these guys aren't Jared Goff's not going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah,
So are the Lions? Do they have an outside chance to make it in?
Yeah, they're close. I think they're.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out the Lions. But
regardless,
you're not seeing really a huge rushing threat. And even when you look at the AFC, we'll worry about that when we get to the Super Bowl. When and if, I'll still say, because, of course, you got to finish.
It's hard to get to the Super Bowl.
Yes, it certainly is. Hot take there.
It's also hard to be 13-1.
It is, and the Eagles have accomplished that. But my point is, sure, I thought this was going to be a tougher game than most thought for the Philadelphia Eagles. And it did prove to be a little bit tight. But what they were hurt by today, defensively, I don't think other teams in the NFC have the capability to do because that quarterback doesn't exist on other NFC contenders. And they did a lot of things really, really well defensively. I mean, let's talk about the defensive line for a second. This defensive line is outstanding.
It's been stellar for especially the second half of the season, I would say. It's been tremendous. It really has. Another 6 sacks today.
The signings of Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh have given rest to guys like Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox, who we didn't hear a lot of them at all today, but it gives them rest.
Besides Fletcher not going for that fumble on the ground.
He went for it.
Well, yeah, not
Big
getting
man went after it, but he didn't get it. But that gives rest to the interior guys, and it makes them more dangerous inside, so you have to move and motion more, well, not motion, but like stunt more offensive linemen to the interior, which leaves Hassan Reddick one-on-one. Impossible to block him one-on-one right now. He was
in the backfield the entire day today.
Lived back there.
The entire day, Hassan Reddick was.
It leaves Josh Sweat one-on-one. He's been impossible to block one-on-one this year.
Best season of his career this year, Josh Sweat. Breakout type year.
So the defensive line as a unit is incredible. And this is not a knock on Jonathan Gannon because the defense has been really, really good lately. Since we had the major criticisms of him after like the Washington game, he's been great. His unit has been really, really impressive as far as the defensive side of the ball goes. But I think a huge part of Jonathan Gannon's scheme and how it works by not bringing blitz and not rushing a lot of corners, safeties, linebackers, you need the defensive line to get home. It's the only way to me that Jonathan Gannon's defensive scheme can be elite. And he's gotten that from them this year incredibly soon.
And that's how you beat good quarterbacks, good pocket quarterbacks in the playoffs, playoff time. I mean, we heard about Tom Brady for the last 2 decades. You got to get pressure with your front four. You can't just simply rely on the blitz. The front four, has to get pressure. And you look at it today, all three, Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick, Javon Hargrave, each had 2 sacks each today. Like I mentioned, Josh Sweat's having the best season of his career. Hassan Reddick was worth every single penny. Javon Hargrave having maybe the best season of his career as well. And for a team that doesn't blitz that much, as you mentioned in the Philadelphia Eagles, it is crucial for the front four to get pressure. And they have been pretty much this entire season. There were a couple lulls. There were a couple games where we were having some issues with how they looked, how the defense looked as a whole, especially early on in the season. I thought that Detroit Lions game, the first game of the year, the D-line did not look great. But other than a couple games here or there, that D-line has looked incredible, and that's going to transition to when we get to playoff time and you're facing better quarterbacks who can get the ball out quick, who can slice and dice you, whatever it may be. If you're creating natural pressure with your front four and these guys continue to have the seasons that they're having, Josh Sweat, Javon Hargrave, Hassan Reddick, that's going to go a long way come playoff time for this Eagles football team. Add on the best, if not one of the best, offenses in football as well. That doesn't hurt either.
You're absolutely right. Now, that's the defensive side of the ball. The offensive side of the ball left some stuff to be desired today. The game plan specifically, especially early, and I think they made good adjustments at halftime. Well, better adjustments at halftime, but still not to the level of running the football we'd like. There were some really great play calls at the end there, specifically the sequence with the Hurts sneak touchdown.
That was awesome.
The 2-point conversion, weird motion with Cam Jurgens going split out as a wide receiver that resulted in a penalty by the Chicago Bears defense jumping off sides. And then you run the fake sneak little zone read by Jalen Hurts, which was just, oh my goodness, that just it turned me on, Tom. It did. I got to be honest with you. That was all right. That was very attractive play calling.
Okay.
But there was some stuff to be desired. And Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen were behind that. And we have Coach Sirianni coming to the podium right now with his comments. So I'm very interested to hear what he has to say.
Pass happy, wasn't a ton of running in the first half. Was that just how the game presented itself, or was that something you saw coming into the week?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both. You go in there and you think you have some matchups that you like, and I mean, at the end of the day, AJ had 170 yards and Davante had 126, so we saw some matchups that we liked out there. And so, I think that's just how we went out today, and and wasn't our best game, as we know. A lot of credit to them. I know that team, that's a really well-coached team. It's a really well-coached team. That team preaches takeaways and protecting the football just like we do. I mean, I've been with him for 3 years. Coach Eberflus, a great coach, and they got the better of us in that in the takeaway margin today. Yeah, obviously you're going to go out and watch it, and I'll have some better insight on that. But again, give them a lot of credit for the things that they did to make it hard for us on offense. So I thought the defense played lights out. I do think Justin Fields is special. He's got some special abilities. I know our quarterback's special as well. But give Justin Fields a lot of love right there, because you see him live, you see it on tape, and you see how good he is, and then you see it up close and personal, and he's special. And that's good for the NFL that 2 young quarterbacks going at it today. That are going to be good quarterbacks in the NFL for a while. Obviously turnovers, that's the big thing. We'll look at them. I got an idea what happened on 3 of them, but I'll look at them and make sure we'll get the coaching points right to make sure we move on and get better.
What did you see from Jalen today?
Yeah, the weather. It was cold out there, and it was windy off and on. But he struggled a little bit. I mean, that early throw that got him a pick. He just doesn't have a lot of interceptions. So I would say that play was they were knocking on the door back there. I would say that play was a struggle for him, but he just really bounced back and had threw the ball well in tough conditions, and you have to be able to do that as we continue on, right? As we continue on and you play games in the cold, that's a necessity. And it was good to see our guys winning, and Jalen making some really good throws in there to, end the game out. And we had that 3rd down there, and we had a lot of confidence that Jalen and AJ were going to make a play there. And they did, in the end of the game with the ball in our hands.
When it comes to his mindset, Nick, Jalen's mindset, like you said, he had a couple bad plays early, but the fact that he perseveres through that and is still, puts it aside, makes big plays in the second half. What's that say about him?
I think he just controls what he can control. He can't control a bad play earlier. He moves on to the next play, and then it's just. It's no surprise. That's who this guy is, and we've seen that over and over again. And I've mentioned it 1,000 times. Like the New Orleans play, he has that stone face look on his face from last year in the New Orleans play, and then he makes a bad play, and he still has that same look. It doesn't matter. Like he continues to put himself in the moment and learn from the past. And try to repeat the good things and not, and get better from the things he messed up. But he's completely in the moment, and I think that's what great players do.
What about rebounding from all the hits he took?
I'm sorry?
What about rebounding from all the
Rebounding?
hits? Yeah, and were you concerned at all with the number?
They forced us to pull a couple balls, and that doesn't mean you can't run just regular inside zone or not read it on the backside. But yeah, he'll be sore from that. We'll be on a short week, but he's tough, and I know he took the one. You guys too think like there's some plays that happen, and when you get hit, like one that he got hit on by that linebacker is a great hit, but sometimes when they're square up like that, those aren't the ones that hurt you, and so I know he took a couple big hits, but they were pretty clean shots. He got up and he was good to go, and hey, let's go again.
As a follow-up to that, why was it more quarterback centric in the running game?
Yeah, I mean that was part of our game plan against the defense that we were looking at. It's not necessarily quarterback centric. It's you're reading things on the backside, and sometimes just like Fields pulled some too. Like they had I think if you looked at it, they had a lot more called quarterback runs, but then they had some zone reads that they were reading some guys, reading the guy that they were supposed to read, and then so some of it was like that. And then a couple of the called runs where we felt pretty safe with those, and they ended up being pretty safe ones the way we looked at it.
How close was Dallas to going today, and why did you ultimately decide?
Yeah, he's getting there. We'll see, obviously. But he had a good week of practice and the things that he did, and we felt like he wasn't quite ready yet. And when he's ready, he'll go.
Nick, were you more aware that the Dallas Cowboys lost before you came out here? And if so, I kind of know what your answer is, but if so, what are you thinking going forward?
We found out when we got into the locker room. We won. I went to my office to think about what I was going to say to the team, and then actually Bob and I and Kevin Petula were in my office, and it came up the play with the interception, and so. hey, all we're thinking about is how we're going to make these corrections this week, and we're on a short week, so today's like Monday. So we'll be working to fix the corrections from this game and then get going on Dallas, who we have familiarity with, and they have familiarity with us. We know it's a really good football team. I got a lot of respect for how well coached they are at all fronts, offense coordinator, defense coordinator, head coach, and I got a lot of respect for those players that they have over there. So we're going to have to have our best week of preparation to make sure we're ready to go 1-0 this week.
Did you have a little smile on your face, maybe? I mean, come on, you have to have some emotion.
Well, sure. I don't ever root for any of the NFC teams to win, right? And so, who do I root for tonight with the Giants and Washington? Maybe I'll root for another tie.
Nick, sorry to ask about this on the touchdown. John's first one, was that the call, or did he read the blitz?
Yeah, I don't want to answer that.
Oh.
How did the
Sorry.
guys? Sorry, the conditions down there. How did that affect the game plan overall?
That's the first time I ever did that to you. I know caught you a little off guard because usually I got a long, good answers for you. All right, so remember all those good answers I've given you in the past. No, I told Jalen already not to tell you.
The conditions on the field. How did that factor into the game plan and the fourth down decisions?
Yeah, obviously the kicking situations are a little bit tougher there, so you take everything into account. You take everything into account as far as when you're going to go for it on fourth down, all those different things. The fourth down we went for was the same fourth down essentially that we went for last week in New York. So it changes it a little bit because obviously the weather changes a little bit, and our communication with Jake and Rick and Brett were good, and we did the things that we thought we needed to do to make sure we put them in a good position to make kicks.
All right, thanks, folks.
All right.
There it is. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni rooting against every NFC team. Found it interesting because he's normally a big-time defender of his players. I found it interesting that he was so quick to say that Jalen Hurts clearly struggled early in that game.
Yeah,
And
he was.
He did struggle, but then, Tom, you make the point. It was when you look at the numbers, not the turnovers, not the touchdowns through the air, but when you see a 300-plus yard game through the air for Jalen Hurts, when you see 3 rushing touchdowns on the ground for Jalen Hurts, you look at a situation where it's like, okay, well, he couldn't have had that bad of a game, right? So it's an interesting balance that has to be struck when you look back on this game between the Eagles and the Chicago.
Well, and that's what makes a quarterback an MVP-type quarterback, is you can struggle and have a bad first 3 quarters, or not saying that you had a bad first 3 quarters, you could have a bad start to the game, bad first half, whatever it may be. But when it comes down to it, when a play needs to be made, much like the Indianapolis Colts game, Jalen Hurts can make that play. And it helps when you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, who we're going to get into a little bit later because those dudes are absolutely tremendous. You have 2 wide receiver ones here in Philadelphia. But, yeah, when you look at the quarterback rating from Jalen Hurts today, 64.6. Not good. Yeah, the passing numbers look good. Both of me and you, when we saw he had over 300 yards, I was like, is that the most quiet 300-yard game ever? And then you look at the stats from A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, you're like, that makes sense. But able to get it done on the ground. Again, 3 touchdowns today from Hurts, and he made big throws at big moments. Again, that A.J. Brown, throw to A.J. Brown late in that game was a perfect throw. It could not have been handed to him better, and it was in a huge moment of that game. So despite him having a 64.6 rating today, Justin Fields, 119.5 rating, by the way. 64.6 rating from Jalen Hurts today. 2 interceptions. Maybe his worst game of the season, potentially. Doesn't matter because he can make a big play for you at the end, and that's what an MVP-type quarterback can do.
Yeah, we're going to do a little bit of football and football crossover here real quick. You
were waiting for this.
With the World Cup, right? Just real quick, bear with me. This is Eagles-related. This is Eagles-centric even. But
this is Argentina postgame.
It's not Argentina postgame. But in that game today, if you guys had a chance to catch that one, awesome game ahead of when the Eagles started, one of the greatest soccer games I've ever seen between Argentina and France. Kylian Mbappe, who's a great player from France, if you don't follow, he was like shut down for like 70 of the 90 minutes of regular time. Just a non-factor. And the dude ends that game with a hat trick. And what one of the announcers on the game on Fox Sports said was that's why he's so great. Because you can neutralize him for like 90% of the game, and it doesn't matter. There's always that chance that he's going to do something incredible. And that is exactly what Jalen Hurts did today. You can neutralize him largely. You can make him look like he's struggling for a little bit. But he has that incredible playability in him. Whether it's the absolute dime he dropped to A.J. Brown on that huge long pass that Should have resulted in a touchdown, and we'll probably see A.J. Brown's Madden speed rating drop a little bit. But no, a great play by A.J. Brown to even stay in bounds on that play, the deep ball down the right sidelines late in that game. Whether it's that, whether it's a big run, whether it's just picking a team apart on like a big late drive, we've seen him do it in a bunch of different ways this year. You can take Jalen Hurts out of the game for a little bit. You can make him struggle. The elements can be tough, and it can make some parts of his game be difficult. But the bona fide great players, the true great ones, the MVP caliber players are ones that, regardless of struggles early in a game, regardless of conditions, regardless of a defense they're playing against, regardless of what they have to work with, they're going to find a way to make a huge impact on the game when it matters most. And today, Jalen Hurts absolutely did that.
Whether it's a big pass, whether it's a big run, I think that I believe it was the first rushing touchdown, and Nick Sirianni was asked about it, where I believe an audible was called. He wouldn't give us an answer there, but I believe Jalen Hurts called out of a pass play and called a quarterback draw because he saw that the blitz was coming. That's great recognition. That's reading the defense, knowing what you're seeing pre-snap and capitalizing on it. And he wasn't touched on his way to the end zone.
Sorry, I'll let you finish. It was not the first time that we've seen that from the Eagles this year. That was the exact same play that they ran against Indianapolis that won that game. The exact same. Cleared out. See that they're clearing out middle of the field. Now, I don't know if it was the same.
I don't believe it was an audible either. I think that was played or called beforehand.
Exactly.
But still.
But it's what exactly happened. The center of the field gets vacated because you have two outstanding wide receivers outside in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Jalen Hurts recognizes it, or in some cases, the coaching staff may recognize that over the flow of the game, and you just leave the quarterback draw wide open up the middle, walk-in touchdown. It goes back to a question we've asked many times this year. And if you had asked me in the first quarter or the second quarter, I may have had some semblance of an answer for you. But over the course of a game, how do you defend this team? And how do you defend number one? Because there's not a clear-cut way to do it. It's possible. I guess they've lost one game this year. But
he definitely was slowed down today. I think a little bit of that was the weather. A little bit of that was himself just not being completely on 100% today, feeling himself, whatever it is. I don't know. But
it's possible, but it is incredibly difficult.
Very difficult.
And it's a tall task for any team, even the top contenders in the NFC, to do it any point the rest of the year. Man, this team is something special.
They're fun, that's for sure.
They are
13-1.
610-632-0975. Got to grab another break here. We still have Jalen Hurts to come. We'll hear what he has to say about a struggle performance. I'm sure he's going to be critical of himself because he always is. We'll talk to Tim McManus and a lot of interesting stuff to break down with Tim when he joins us later on in the program about what he saw and his thoughts on the game plan and other factors. So much more to break down because this is like the Russian nesting dolls of Eagles games. There's just levels to it. Every time we open something, there's another thing we got to get into when it comes to this game, and largely positive. We will discuss that coming up next as well. Our big takeaways positively and negatively from today's game. 610-632-0975 is how you get in. Connor Thomas, Tom Alvord, Eagles postgame. We'll be back right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, it's Jen Scordo. Now's the perfect time to download FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge, America's #1 sports book. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just sign up using my promo code SCORDO. That's my last name. Not only are there a ton of things to bet on right now, there are a ton of ways to bet on the FanDuel app. Money lines, spreads, player props, same-game parlays. You've got pro football, college football, tennis, soccer, golf, hockey, basketball. It is a rich time for sports betting right now. And how about live betting? You can get updated odds on games that have already started. Most importantly, with FanDuel, you get paid when you win super fast. It's all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Sign up using my promo code SCORDO for a no-sweat first bet. That's promo code SCORDO. And make every moment more this season with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present. PA first online real money wager only. Refund issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
At T-Mobile, we believe people deserve more without paying more. For a limited time, get 4 iPhone 14s with their amazing cameras on us and 4 lines for $25 a line.
Wow, it's like expecting a Christmas caroler.
Deck the hall with boughs of holly.
But getting a whole choir.
Deck the hall with boughs of holly.
With an epic horn section, too.
It's the season to be jolly.
It's so cool. I'm capturing it all with the amazing camera on my new iPhone 14.
Plus, T-Mobile has Price Lock Guarantee. Unlike the other big guys, we guarantee we won't raise the price of your rate plan for talk, text, or data. So what are you waiting for? Switch to T-Mobile and for a limited time, get 4 iPhone 14s on us with eligible trade-ins and 4 lines for $25 a line. Get used to getting even more from T-Mobile.
With 24 monthly bill credits and autopay plus taxes and fees for well-qualified customers with 4-line minimum. If you cancel service before 24 credits, credit stop and balance on required finance agreement for all devices is due. Price lock for rate plan price of current on-network service for eligible lines. Excludes taxes, fees, promos, and third-party services. See T-Mobile.com for details.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Upside, the free app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back just for buying the gas I was going to buy anyway.
But is it a hassle to use?
No, it's super fast and easy, and I can cash out whenever I want.
That's a total no-brainer. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code LIFT for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's promo code LIFT. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code LIFT for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code LIFT.
Hey, Sixer fans, it's Matt Cord for the Bet Parks app, the official winning partner of your Philadelphia 76ers. The Bet Parks app is fun to use. Build around on what you want right from your phone. It's easy to sign up, great customer service, and faster to win than ever before. Download the Bet Parks app today. The Bet Parks app, the official winning partner of your Philadelphia 76ers.
See website for terms and conditions. Must be 21 and in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Gambling problem? 1-800-GAMBLER.
Bet Parks is all about football. The Bet Parks Sportsbook app hooks you up every weekend with special promos on college football Saturdays and pro football Sundays. Every Saturday, Bet Parks offers a special half the spread promo on one select college football game, and they cut the spread in half at the same odds. Every Sunday, Bet Parks presents the double the spread promo on one select pro football game and doubles the spread at the same odds. Check out details at the Bet Parks app, at Bet Parks on Twitter, or betparks.com. Must be 21 and in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Worried about holiday shopping this year? Don't be. You can mark off every name on your list with just one trip to the Berlin Farmers Market. Shop more than 75 local businesses, offering a great selection of toys, sports, jewelry, clothes, video games, electronics, candy, sweets, and so much more, all under one roof. The Berlin Farmers Market is decorated for the holidays with Santa, the Grinch, and the elves visiting, and open every day from December 1st through Christmas Eve. For hours, info, directions, and more, visit BerlinFarmersMarket.com.
So I switched to Boost Mobile and got this free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone.
Why do you think they call it the Galaxy?
Maybe because the Samsung Galaxy A23 has a huge screen, and galaxies are huge gravitationally bound systems of stars rotating around a supermassive black hole.
And the phone is free?
When you switch to Boost Mobile.
Cool. You lost me at gravitationally bound.
Switch to Boost and get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. Limited time offer while supplies last. New customers only. Excludes tax. One device offer per line. Only available on certain networks. 5G not available everywhere. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.
There are more than 550 miles on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, every one of them clearly marked. And each of those bright green mile markers is a key to safety. Let's say the unexpected happens and you dial star 11 for emergency assistance. They need to know if you're at mile 243 or mile 324. So remember the mile markers on the PA Turnpike, and don't forget the keys to safety.
Sponsored by the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission.
The holiday season is officially in full swing, and the showcases at Family Company Jewelers are fully stocked to help you check off every item on your shopping list. Fill her stocking with a gift she'll be showing off all year long. They have something for every price point, from necklaces and earrings too, and of course, their amazing engagement ring selection. Visit them on Route 70 in Marlton, New Jersey, or online at FamilyJewelers.com. That's Family Company Jewelers, South Jersey's holiday diamond destination.
Family and Company Jewelers, South Jersey's diamond destination.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation and discreet shipping if prescribed. You'll love your results. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Primo Hoagies has a primo deal on primo gift cards this holiday season. Right now, buy a $25 gift card and get a $5 bonus card, or buy a $100 gift card and get a $25 bonus card this Christmas. Make it primo, not just a hoagie. It's primo.
If you're placing bets on this weekend's games, call Free Winners for your free picks. Give Free Winners a call for your free picks at 888-366-3733. That's 888-366-FREE.
WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, home of the most entertaining sports talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
What is this bounce back? I'm not familiar with this one. Do you know this song?
Missy Elliott.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm not a big Missy Elliott guy.
I mean, I'm not. I'm not saying I am.
Your favorite artist, Missy Elliott, there,
that's
Tom?
right. Yeah.
This is the Missy Elliott postgame show.
Work It. I think.
Is it?
I think so.
Look at you. You even know the song?
How do you not know this?
I don't know, man.
This song's huge. It's been huge for like 20 years.
Oh, okay. Well, when did it get big? I'm like, I don't know.
I said 20 years. 20 years ago. I don't know. I don't know how you've never even heard that beat before.
I probably have, just didn't register to me.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right.
I like hip hop, but I'm more like recent, and I'm also more of a country guy than hip hop. A weird combination. We're not talking about my music library. We're talking about the 13-1 Philadelphia Eagles. Connor Thomas, Tom Alvord here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Eagles post-game coverage. We already heard from Nick Sirianni. We're going to be hearing from Jalen Hurts a little bit later in the program as he talks about what was a tough day for him at the start. But then at the end, you look at the stats and you're like, well, he still compiled 300 yards through the air, and he ran for 61 and 3 touchdowns. And I don't know. It's weird. I guess he's set the standard. He talks about the standard a lot. I guess he's set the standard so high that when he even remotely struggles, he looks like not the quarterback we're used to. And that's a good thing. That's a credit to Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, the dude had 380 total yards and 3 touchdowns today, and that's a bad game for him. Honestly, because of how poor he was earlier in the game, the 2 interceptions, as we mentioned, some questionable decisions, he still can come out and have 380 yards and 3 touchdowns. And as I said earlier, that might be the worst game of the season for him, which is crazy to say. That's just how good that dude has been this season.
He's unbelievable, and he's the MVP of the league. He's got it. I know he threw 2 picks today, and I know that's going to get Chris Sims and all the idiots who don't think he's MVP.
He almost matched his total of the season today.
Right.
And that's not a knock on today's performance. That's more just how good he's been all year.
Yeah. And there's going to be people riled up in the national media that are like, see, he wasn't that good. He didn't protect. Don't care. He's still the MVP. His team's still 13-1. He ended up with a stat line that's admirable, even though the Eagles had their worst turnover performance of the year. Today.
If they say that about Hurts, what do you say about Patrick Mahomes? And I love Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
They went to overtime against the 1-win Texans.
I know.
There's
no. It's a lock. There's no conversation.
There's no conversation at this point. There's not. I love Patrick Mahomes. I love Joe Burrow. They're great quarterbacks in this league. There's not a conversation this year. This team's 13-1. Jalen Hurts is the MVP.
But
I don't care about a point.
That's what the national media is going to have to do, because there's no drawbacks of this team. There's no other drawbacks of this Philadelphia Eagles team. They're a juggernaut. They're unbelievable. They're unstoppable. They're not unstoppable. I mean, we've got to see them complete the task.
When it comes to the NFL, they're as close to unstoppable as it gets. The Bills are very unstoppable when they're at their best, like they were last night. Chiefs offense can look unstoppable. Bengals offense can look unstoppable. So can the Eagles at any given day, and pretty much every week we've seen it this season.
But best game against best game, the Eagles are the best team in football. The Eagles are the closest to unstoppable. Now, I know you want to go through this, and 610-632-0975. We'll take your thoughts on this, too. We're going to pose a question. Your biggest positive takeaway from today's game and your biggest negative takeaway from today's game, because we do have both. This is not the Tennessee Titans game where everything was positive.
It's not the Giants game.
No, this is not the Giants game where everything was positive. This is there were a couple negatives early in this game, and even points late in this game with like turnovers. So
we've been spoiled with this team
been
all season, but especially the past 3-4 weeks, whatever it's been.
I
because
like being spoiled. This is fun.
It's not bad because they've just been throttling teams. They've been blowing teams out where it looks like, as you mentioned, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, it looks like Alabama going up against Chattanooga. And this is the NFL. That's how good this team has looked. We've been spoiled the last couple of weeks. This is what an NFL game looks like most of the time, regardless of records, regardless of teams coming in, regardless of talent. Most of the time, this is what NFL games look like, especially on the road with bad weather. So, yeah, it's not going to be a perfect game every single week. And today wasn't a perfect game, but you find a way to get a win.
Okay, so I'll start with mine, right? Again, you can chime in on this on the phone lines. Biggest positive takeaway is where I'm going to start. My biggest positive takeaway, and see, I want to steal yours because I know what yours is going to be, Tom.
I got a backup, so that's fine.
You got a backup?
Yeah.
I'll steal it. A.J. Brown was incredible.
Yep.
181 yards on 9 receptions. Didn't touch pay dirt, but that's fine. I mean,
16 targets, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is absurd.
Now, I'll tell you what. And we'll go back to the spoiled conversation. Seeing A.J. Brown have 16 targets and only 9 receptions is lower than what you'd expect because he's been always, he's got the sign in of the locker, always open. And today, maybe Devontae Smith was more the opportunity for always open because Devontae Smith was incredible too. But
especially in the first half.
My biggest positive takeaway is you have a guy, think back to the last Eagles wide receiver you could think of that would have not a Kevin Curtis one-off go crazy, not a Deshaun Jackson make 2 catches for 70 yards apiece. No, a bona fide number 1 wide receiver that could go for 181 yards any given game. Terrell Owens. That's the last one.
Yeah, it's the last one. Honestly, it is.
Macklin
was a really good receiver here.
Yes.
Deshaun Jackson was. They're not on the same level as A.J. Brown. They're just not. And that's not a knock on him. That's just how good A.J. Brown has been.
Deshaun Jackson probably deserves the most clarifier in that statement because Deshaun Jackson has a skill set that he may have been the best at in the history of the NFL, going and running down the deep ball. But that's one skill set. A.J. Brown does everything. Everything. He could take a 5-yard slant 60 yards. He could take a contested hook coming back and just fight a defensive back off the ball. He could take a screen and make something out of it. He could take a deep ball and beat somebody. He can double moves, everything. He can run every route in the route tree. He can fight any defensive back for the ball. He can make contested catches over 1, 2, 3, 4, 11 defenders if he has to.
Nice.
I was going to count all the way to 11, but we only have a limited amount of time. So for me, A.J. Brown's performance today, considering the elements, considering he also had a bit of a struggle early too, was not locked up, but he had some tight coverage on him at points by the Bears secondary, which credit to them for doing what they did.
Jalen Johnson, who's a really good young quarterback in this league, he had a good game today, Jalen Johnson.
He did.
And A.J. Brown still goes for 180?
181.
Ridiculous.
That's my biggest positive takeaway. Thomas?
And much like the Eagles as a whole today, much like Jalen Hurts in his game today, A.J. Brown, despite having 16 targets and only 9 catches, despite that, quote-unquote, even though that's still tremendous, despite having 2 drops in the game, despite him not scoring a touchdown late when he probably should have and he ran out of gas a little bit, despite all that, that's what an MVP-type player looks like. Obviously, receivers don't win MVP in this league anymore. It just doesn't happen. That's what an MVP-type, top-tier type player looks like at that position.
By the way, I don't think a wide receiver's ever won MVP in the NFL, for the record.
Yeah, because if Calvin Johnson didn't win it that year when he went.
Jerry Rice doesn't have one. I don't think a wide receiver.
It's a quarterback.
But yes, I know what you're saying.
A top-tier talent, a top 10 talent at the position. That's what that looks like, despite maybe not having your crispest game, despite not. Is Crispest a word? The most crisp game. Despite not having your best game.
I thought you said Christmas just weird for a second there. You broke my brain a little bit.
Despite not having your best game, despite having 2 drops early, you can still go out there and dominate a football game where early in that game, you're like, oh, A.J. Brown's struggling a little bit. Fast forward a couple hours, he's got 9 catches and 181 yards and 1 touchdown. And that's the difference that a top 10 MVP, top-tier wide receiver can do to a young quarterback. We saw it with Stephon Diggs coming into Buffalo and helping Josh Allen. We've seen it with Tua this year, bringing in Tyreek Hill and obviously having Jalen Waddle. When you have a top-tier talent at the receiver position and you're a quarterback who's progressing and you're looking for him to make that jump, man, it helps a lot. And shout out to Howie Roseman for bringing in a guy like that. Also, Devontae Smith, tremendous game for him today. As you mentioned, 5 catches, 126 yards.
So good.
25, over 25. It was his average today per catch. The wide receiver and A.J. Brown's a tremendous choice by you. To me, it's the defensive line because, yes.
Great pick.
Justin Fields had a really good game today. Justin Fields, I think, is going to be a problem in this league for a long time. You heard Nick Sirianni say it himself. Justin Fields is special. He said that in his post-game press conference. They got to get him some help. As a football fan, I hope the Bears can. Obviously, they're in the NFC, so you don't want to see that as an Eagles fan. But as a football fan, someone who just loves the game, it's fun to see good quarterback play. Hopefully, the Bears don't mess him up and get him some help. Despite Justin Fields having a great game, other than Justin Fields, this offense had nothing, the Chicago Bears offense. David Montgomery had an okay game, 53 yards on the ground, only 4.5 yards per carry.
He scored twice.
Yeah, it was because of what Justin Fields can do with his legs is why
close enough.
And Montgomery's a good running back. I'm not slighting Montgomery to the slightest, but the defensive line has been so good of late, as we mentioned a little bit earlier. The seasons we've seen from Josh Sweat, the seasons we've seen from Javon Hargrave and Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph still being in the game plan and still making an impact every single week, despite being brought off the streets 3 weeks ago. They're still making an impact. They're sprinkling in Jordan Davis little by little, more and more each week. But when you have a defensive line as dominant as this, and when they can get pressure naturally and don't have to rely on the blitz, that does so much for the team around you. So huge game from the defensive line. And much like A.J. Brown has done so much for this offense and a young quarterback in Jalen Hurts, Hassan Reddick has done so much for this defensive line. When you have a bona fide stud, a top 10 type player at the position, much like A.J. Brown is, Hassan Reddick does so much for the people around him, for the players around him on that D-line. So that is my biggest positive today. Tied with the receivers because A.J. Brown was tremendous. The defensive line was tremendous today. 6 sacks. I think that brings them to 55 on the season now, when they had 29 all of last season, I believe.
Incredible. 6 sacks for 61 yards compared to Jalen Hurts only being sacked once for a 6-yard loss. And that one was probably even slightly avoidable, but not anything you could get mad at. He tried to climb the pocket a little bit rather than rolling out, but he's been so good decision-wise. Today just wasn't his best decision game, and he still ends up with over 300 yards passing and 3 rushing touchdowns. I mean, great performance by him, great performance by A.J. Brown, great performance by the defensive line. We're going to get into our negative takeaways here in a second. We're not being negative. We're just looking at the negative side, the flip side of the coin, because there were things that need to be addressed in practice this week. We'll get into that in a second, but I want to open up the phone lines again. 610-632-0975 is how you get in. Let's go to David in New Jersey. Let's talk about the running game in the second quarter. David, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Doing wonderful, man. How about yourself, man?
All right. Appreciate the good work you guys doing, man.
Thanks, man.
Can I give you my positive and my negatives?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, positive is defensive line, definitely, because I didn't see too much blitzing, but the pressure they were getting on is perfect. The negative is, why did we wait till the second quarter, to get Miles Sanders his first carry of the game? That's one thing I don't understand. And also, A.J. Brown is to me, he's like a given. So I was expecting him to do what he did. It's just, the offensive line and the running game just kind of had me, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Now, David, I want to get to something. You'll get your time. We'll get up to the running game in just a second. But we got to start doing this because it's not fair to, and you're not wrong what you said about A.J. Brown. It's a given. But it's not fair to us as a fan base and what we've gone through with wide receivers to say that it's a given this guy is this good. I want to make sure that we're all, you, David, me, Tom, appreciating just how good this guy is. Because you're right, he does do this week in and week out. But given, I just want to make sure we're not understating how incredible it is to have a guy this talented. Do you remember watching Jalen Reagor be the second best wide receiver on this team? Do you remember watching Nelson Aguilar on a Super Bowl winning team
Travis Fulgham
be the second best weeks? Guy? So you're not wrong that it's a given, but let's make sure we're absolutely appreciating how awesome it is to have that number 11 here. Easily the best number 11 in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles, right?
I hear you getting spoiled. It's not even the whole season yet, but I'm getting spoiled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good thing to be spoiled. Now, your point on the running game, though, right? You're right. It was weird that Miles Sanders didn't get touches really at all throughout the game.
Again, real quick, 6 carries from the running backs through 3 quarters. 6 carries through 3 quarters. Yeah, that's not good. It's not.
Especially after last week.
And it's a cold game and you can dominate that defensive line from the Bears. It was really questionable today from the offensive play calling and Shane
But not
Steichen.
even that. I'll give you the first half. But the second half, I figured you would come out, establish the run, and just go downhill after that. You know what I'm saying? But he was cold. That fumble, yes, he fumbled, but he was cold. He was cold. He didn't have a chance to heat up, you know what I'm saying, get comfortable.
Yeah, definitely.
You're absolutely right, David. And, man, appreciate the call. Appreciate the energy you're bringing today.
That's a great point because that fumble was costly. It was. And Miles Sanders, I don't know what he did to get on Nick Sirianni's bad side today. It was weird that he just wasn't getting touches. He had 2 straight historic games in a row, or 2 of 3 weeks historic games in a row. He comes off his highest rushing yardage of his career last week. And then this week he has 11 carries total, and he has, 3 in the first half or something like that? Yeah. I understand the fumble's costly, and that drives you crazy as a coach. That was his first fumble all year, not just first fumble loss, first fumble all year. And the last caller is right, where these running backs need to get in a rhythm. They need to get in a rhythm. So when it's 6 degrees outside and you have 3 touches in the second or in the first half, and then you get the ball, fumbles are going to happen. These guys need to get in a rhythm. I really did not like the game plan early from the Eagles and Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen, but here we are again, 13-1, so I can't complain.
It is 13-1. Now, this weekend's programming is brought to you by Wawa. It's gift card season, and Wawa is your one-stop shop for all gift cards, from Wawa gift cards, Wawa e-gift cards, or a gift card from your favorite brand. Wawa has a gift card for anyone on your list. So go ahead and check out Wawa. I mean,
love Wawa.
What do they not have at Wawa? Wawa is the Jalen Hurts of stores. They just have everything. They could do it all. You might go in there for a drink one day, and they got it. You might go in there for food one day, and they got it. You might go in there for a gift card one day. They've got it, and can beat you multiple ways if you're the competition.
They always
Don't
deliver.
even try. Wawa's the absolute best. So anyway, now that we've got that read out of the way, just slipping that in there. The biggest negative takeaway for me today is what we were just talking about there. The game plan coming into this game was atrocious. I'm willing to say atrocious. I don't know what they saw with the Chicago Bears and thought that with that weather, with the team that you have and the team that you're facing, with all the factors factored in, for lack of a better way of stating that, I don't know how if Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni got together and said, we're going to come out of the gates and attack them by throwing deep shots down the sidelines and running the ball with Jalen Hurts. It doesn't make remote sense to me.
And my negative is the same. You're absolutely correct. A little bit of it is on Hurts because it's an RPO. He has to make the decision at the line. But for Connor, a running back didn't have, I said they only had 6 carries through 3 quarters. They didn't have a touch in the first quarter in a game so that was the game plan. It was to dominate through the air and try and beat them through the air, which they've done in the past and which they did against the New York Giants. So if it's been working, then great. I understand going to it. But you have to keep, there has to be some kind of balance. It's obvious it wasn't working. It's obvious Jalen Hurts wasn't his sharpest early in that game. You have a running back coming off 2 historic games who's been really, really good this season. You could argue a top 10 back in all of football. I just don't understand trusting him in this kind of game, especially with the weather, especially with the wind. It just didn't make a ton of sense to me. And if it's, again, you don't want to overreact too much because they're 13-1. If this happens in the playoffs potentially against a good team, a good defense like the 49ers, and you're not so quick to adjust, it could come back to haunt you. And I think that's why that's our biggest takeaway today when it comes to the negative side.
Exactly. And they don't deserve to be off the hook, right? Like Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen, after that offensive game plan, don't deserve for it to not be talked about. We have that luxury because of how good the Eagles are, but we'd be doing a disservice to the position we have here and the platform that we have to not lament how they attacked the Chicago Bears. This goes back to what we talked about in that Tennessee Titans game, where if you remember, just a bunch of penalties on the offensive line. And what I said then is what I'll say now. I don't think this is a problem going forward. I don't think this is something that says, oh, the Eagles are doomed now because I didn't like that game plan or this, that, or the other thing. I didn't like the penalties. I think they're fine because largely over the course of 14 games this season, we've seen really good game plans. We've seen really good play calls.
Definitely.
We saw 13 victorious game plans and one that probably would have ended up being victorious without a couple bad calls and bad turnovers, which is not You don't game plan turnovers. You don't say, oh, hey, Dallas Goedert is going to fumble here.
And that loss wasn't on the offense at all. That was more on just a weird turnovers in bad spots. But it wasn't like the offense wasn't moving.
No.
You weren't on they weren't on the field because the Commanders had control of that game the entire time, and you had bad turnovers in bad spots. So I'm not even going to blame
more on the defense than the offense.
Yeah, definitely.
So my point is, this is not me raising alarms saying down the road we got to worry about this. But I saw something today that was not. It was not the quality of a Super Bowl caliber team. And it was the opening game plan. I don't know what to attribute that to. And maybe we'll get more in Nick Sirianni's press availability tomorrow.
Yeah, he wasn't really asked about it a ton. The opening question, but that's it.
Yeah, and he didn't totally dive into it too much.
He just said we had matchups we liked.
Exactly.
Which means we can dominate this team through the air. Let's go to it. But it wasn't working.
Yeah, and I can't fault him on also not wanting to talk through that because I don't want the entirety of the world to know their thought process for coming up with their game plans. All I know is today, as someone who's watched a good amount of football, it didn't make logical sense to attack the Chicago Bears the way that they did with all the given factors. And that's a problem. But it's a problem today at 5:21 on Sunday, December 18th.
And it's a problem that can be fixed pretty easily.
Now, next week, Saturday, December 24th on Christmas Eve, I'm not saying that I think that's going to be a problem. But if there's one thing to address internally this week, that's what I'm looking at. Outside of the turnovers, because, of course, the coaches will have to hold Jalen Hurts responsible for some of those decisions he made early in this game. And again, we're not trying to be overly negative. This was a positive day for the Eagles. They won the game. Hurts was incredible at points. A.J. Brown's unbelievable. The defensive line was great. The secondary, outside of one mishap from Darius Slay when he got caught.
That was so weird.
He just got caught watching the backfield. And
And that's what Justin Fields does. That's what Justin Fields does. But in that spot, it was weird to see Slay get, not burned, but kind of left out to dry.
Just
like
lost
that.
his man.
Yeah.
But outside of that, they were largely good, too. There's more positives than negatives.
Absolutely.
And that's what leads to a winning game. But again, we'd be doing a disservice to our platform to not bring up what we saw that needs to be improved upon. And today, the biggest, most glaring thing for both of us was the opening game plan and the lack of using running backs in the running game and the lack of balancing out the attack. And maybe, as I'm saying that, I know that the inclination for Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen, they want to pass the ball. I know they do. Nick Sirianni is a former receiver. He's a guy that we knew coming in here, his inclination was to pass the ball, and that's the modern NFL. That's not a negative, but you cannot force that. And today, it felt like they tried to force it.
In a game where they were either within one score or leading the entire game.
Correct.
The entire game.
Absolutely correct. 610-632-0975. Coming up, we're going to hear from Jalen Hurts. We're going to talk to Tim McManus later in the program. We've got a bunch of stuff still to get into. More of your calls as well. Reactions to the Eagles moving to 13-1. Let's go. 610-632-0975 is how you get in. Got a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Connor Thomas, Tom Alvord, Eagles postgame, 97.5 The Fanatic.
97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, it's Ricky Bo. Is your home in need of new windows and doors, but you decided to brave through one more cold season before making the plunge? Then let me tell you why acting now will not only keep your family feeling warm all winter long while lowering your high heating bills, but also save you big bucks with the big end-of-year sale from my good friends at Guided Door and Window. Guided is bringing back their biggest discounts of the year. Receive 40% off each window you buy. Yes, 40% off every professionally installed window. You'll also receive 40% off any door, including entry doors, patio doors, garage doors, and storm doors. And don't worry about touching your holiday money because Guida will start your project with no money down and allow you to pay it off interest-free for up to 12 months. If you need new windows and doors, then you need to go Guida right now so you can take advantage of all these huge savings. All prior sales are excluded. Offer expires December 31st. So call Guida today to schedule a free in-home estimate at 1-877-GO-GUIDA or visit them at GoGuida.com. That's go, GUIDA.com.
Hey guys, Bob Cooney here. FanDuel Casino is giving you a free chance to spin and win today and every day. Introducing FanDuel Casino Reward Machine, a free-to-play game giving you a shot to win up to $2,000 in casino bonus every day. It brings you all the excitement of playing FanDuel Casino games for free. Every day at 6 p.m., you get 3 chances to spin the reward machine reels. There are 3 ways to win. 1, match any 3 symbols for an instant win. 2, collect symbols each day for a chance to win weekly prizes, or 3, win up to $2,000 if you collect 3 trophies. So what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Casino app by going to FanDuel.com/Bob and start playing Reward Machine today. That's FanDuel.com/Bob.
21 plus and present in PA. Bonus issue as non-withdrawable casino-only site credit that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/casino. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG.
Worried about holiday shopping this year? Don't be. You can mark off every name on your list with just one trip to the Berlin Farmers Market. Shop more than 75 local businesses, offering a great selection of toys, sports, jewelry, clothes, video games, electronics, candy, sweets, and so much more, all under one roof. The Berlin Farmers Market is decorated for the holidays with Santa, the Grinch, and elves visiting, and open every day from December 1st through Christmas Eve. For hours, info, directions, and more, visit BerlinFarmersMarket.com.
If there's one thing Philly fans love as much as their teams, it's their food. And Philly's favorite place to watch their teams while eating their favorite food is Nick's Roast Beef on Woodhaven Road, home to Philly's favorite roast beef. Nick's Roast Beef on Woodhaven Road also has a huge 25-foot TV, plus 30 more TVs throughout the restaurant. Don't forget, $15 domestic beer buckets, 50-cent wings whenever the Birds play, and lots of parking. They can even cater your next event. Nick's Roast Beef on Woodhaven Road. Online at nicksrbwoodhaven.com. More than just roast beef.
Hey, it's Ricky Bo, ring in the new year with a new ride from Barlow Buick GMC of Woodbury. If you're resolving to make 2023 your best year ever, then head down and check out their brand new vehicles, like the 2023 GMC Acadia, Terrain, and Sierra. As far as our New Year's resolutions, at Barlow Buick GMC of Woodbury, they stick to the same ones they've been making since 1971 to provide you with the honest pricing and dedicated service you deserve every day. Stop by Barlow Buick GMC in Woodbury or shop online at barlowautogroup.com.
Did you know that driving under the influence of marijuana is illegal? Driving high will get you a DUI. And if you're wondering if law enforcement can tell you're driving high, well, everyone else can. Friends?
I can tell you drove high.
Parents?
I can tell when you drive high.
Relatives?
I can tell. You drove here high, didn't you?
So what makes you think law enforcement can't?
I can tell.
If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA.
My son Finn was born with congenital heart disease and spent the first 8 months of his life in the hospital. Starlight Children's Foundation has played an important role in our lives. For 5 weeks as a baby, Finn lived in a Starlight Hero wagon instead of having to sleep in a hospital bed. Starlight provides moments of joy for families like mine at a time where there's very little to be found. Learn more about how Starlight brightens the lives of sick kids by visiting starlight.org today.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Get ultra strong for your South Pole. Charmin keeps your undies whiter than the North Pole. A shiny hiney, a brand new year. Call it a Charmin. Happy New Year. May your holidays be Charmin, clean, merry, and bright. May all your undies be Charmin, clean, white.
Charmin Ultra Strong just cleans better. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Hey, it's Pat Egan, and I recently went to the all-new Sin City Cabaret for a game day, and holy shit was I impressed. Sin City is by far the largest and best-looking club in the area. The food was great. The TV was the biggest I've ever seen in a club, but the real draw here is what's on stage. Every single girl just was hotter than the next. I was a little distracted from the game, but in the best way possible. So next time you're looking for a party, just head to Sin City, 6130 Passyunk Avenue, and if you tell them I sent you, you get free admission before 11 p.m.
Philly, we're big fans of keeping you healthy. With Health Fanatics by Virtua Health, explore exclusive articles, expert insights, and so much more. Visit 97.5thefanatic.com/Virtua.
Hello? Whether you're at home or on the go, listen to 97.5 The Fanatic on Odyssey on your smartphone, Roku, LG Smart TV, Waze, and more. That's Odyssey, AUDACY. Check it out now. We're all here for the same reason. Philadelphia sports. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now I know who this is.
I was going to ask.
I love Dr. Dre.
You better.
A little Slim Shady, never heard nobody. 610-632-0975 is how you jump in on Eagles postgame. Connor Thomas, Tom Alvord, the 13-1 Philadelphia Eagles. Ugly victory over the Chicago Bears. Was it ugly?
Gritty.
Not ugly. You can be gritty and still pretty.
I don't know if it was ugly.
Tough.
It wasn't pretty. Is that fair? Wasn't
Sure.
ugly.
This feels like semantics. Speaking of somebody who deals with weird sayings and everything like that, we'll jump right into, because I believe he's coming to the podium right now, Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts, who had a rough day today. Let's see what he has to say about his performance in Chicago, his biggest turnover margin of the year, the negative way. Let's take a listen to what QB1 wants to say.
You took a lot of shots in this game. How do you feel?
Feel good listening to my Anita Baker. And give me some sweets on the plane ride home, watch the tape, learn from it, and move forward.
After that one hit where you just knocked Daddy a little bit, or what's that?
Yeah, it wasn't the first time I've been slow. It won't be the last. They played a really physical game, and it was real cold too. So happy we were able to find a win and then find a way.
Conditions affect you early on, and how did you adjust?
Yeah, I think early in the game, personally, I really couldn't feel my hands. It was very cold. Didn't really have good vision on the field personally. Just there's a lot of different things going on, and I think to be able to persevere through that, that's not something that was done by myself. You look at the special teams, the plays that they made. You look at the defense, how they showed up after the turnovers, and were able to get the ball to us and give us opportunities, And Justin Fields is a hell of a player. I have a lot of respect for him. I always have, But I think in the end, that's a testament to how we persevered as a team and how we believed in one another as a team, And I think, the great teams, the great players, they found a way. And I think collectively as a group, we all came together and found a way as a team. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this game.
I'm sorry. You always say you learn from each game, and obviously that's part of the process. What did you learn about yourself from this game?
Might need to go, when we playing in cold conditions, probably tune myself up for those conditions before we play. I like to come out and warm up with the team. I think I never played anything that cold. But nonetheless, we found a way. Just being prepared on that end, making sure my hands aren't numb and all that. But I think in the end, we found a way.
Along those lines, though, January in Philadelphia, the playoffs might be sort of similar conditions. Has that crossed your mind?
It ain't Chicago.
The 22-yard run, a couple of your teammates said that you had checked into that play. Just take us through what you saw, exactly what you checked into.
Yeah, we try and go out there and trust our vision and trust what we see. And they gave us a feasible look to make the play we made, and it was a big time play in the game. Got up some momentum going into the half.
How important is it, do you think, when your teammates don't see you getting upset after you throw an interception or something like that, or have a bad play? How do you think that affects the other guys when you're not cursing or getting?
Yeah, I think you just never want to waver. You never want to waver, and I always say I never try and get too high, never get too low. Just try and stay.
Oh, sounds like we lost Jalen Hurts there.
Issues there.
But that's okay. We'll try and get him back up and see if we can get Jalen Hurts back up there. But basically what he was saying. Now, I'm a little concerned by the first couple things that he said in the press conference there.
Okay, what's that?
I know we made the comment, Philly isn't Chicago. I don't love the whole I've never played in anything that cold. I got to get myself more tuned up for the weather. I I don't really love hearing that from the quarterback who's going to have to play multiple playoff games, hopefully multiple playoff games in Philadelphia this year and going forward in his career.
I mean, the kid's from Texas.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't get cold in Texas.
I got you.
And it's not like he's played in cold games before. He's played in 20-degree weather. He played in that game against Jacksonville.
Yeah, he said he's never played in that. The game against Jacksonville was like 40 and rainy.
Okay, it's still cold when it's raining like that. He had a great game that game.
I don't know. That doesn't worry you a little bit?
No, it doesn't. I'll be honest with you, it doesn't. Like, I mean, if he has maybe not his greatest MVP performance, if it's 5 degrees outside, I kind of expect that. Not everybody's going to be Aaron Rodgers in the cold, where it's just he's used to it. And
I got you, but you kind of got to be really, really good in the cold to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but it's not like they're playing in Miami and it's like, oh, Tua's never played in a game under 40 degrees. Tua played pretty well last night, by the way, too. But that doesn't worry me. I just think there's a difference between Chicago cold and Philadelphia cold, and they're not going to be playing in Chicago in the playoffs. I promise you that.
No, I got you. I get that, but that worries me.
It doesn't really worry that much.
A little bit, yes. He's unshakable,
dude. Last week against the Giants, it was like 25 degrees, and he played one of his best games of the year.
I got you, but it's getting colder here.
It is. Absolutely.
January is colder.
Well, you know what they should do then if it's a cold game like that, and maybe your quarterback's not going to have his MVP type performance.
Run the ball.
Yeah, maybe with the best offensive line in the world and a top 10 running back in the game this season at least. Maybe that would be a good game plan. Maybe.
I got you. I don't know. That just because a guy who doesn't ever really show any type of weakness in Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Very rare where he'll like point to
vulnerability,
anything.
maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very rare to hear him say anything like that. That kind of just in the back of my mind, when I see a divisional playoff game and the wind chill has got it down to 5 degrees in Philadelphia in January, I'm going to be thinking, oh, you better be ready for the cold.
You know when you're going to find out? Christmas Eve, because the highs for Christmas Eve is like 20 degrees, and the low, which is going to be a night game, is like 16, 13.
Tom.
Yeah.
Where's the game Christmas Eve?
That's dumb. That's right.
It's in Dallas.
Man,
it's in Dallas.
That's a good point. My bad. Damn. That backfired on me.
That's all right. That's okay. But that we will find out eventually. And he can easily put that to bed later in the season, even before we get to the playoffs, if he plays in games, because it could be a chance that Dallas is the last game he plays in the regular season this year. They could lock everything up and rest him.
Yeah.
So
that's a conversation for another day.
Guess what?
We're going to be having that conversation.
Guess what Jalen Hurts is going to do? You're going to spend the month between clinching the NFC East and the top seed in the NFC. Or you're going to spend all that time that you rest in the game against New Orleans and the game against the Giants. Your hands are going in an ice bucket, buddy. And you're getting used to the cold because there are going to be some cold games, dude. I can't feel my hands. I get it. I hate the cold. I am an absolute little whiny, I won't say anything else to get us in trouble
bitch?
At all. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. I'm a whiny bitch when it comes to the cold. I hate cold weather. I'd rather it be 75. I'd rather it be 105 all the time. So this is me in a glass house throwing a bunch of stones, but I'm not playing quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. There's going to be cold games. So he's going to have to figure out a way to mentally, physically come to terms with the fact that you're going to have to play colder weather football. I think that's
great. I have faith that he will.
And here's the crazy thing, right? If I had just jumped on the air today and without hearing that from Jalen Hurts said, man, he can't play in the cold, everyone would be like, what are you talking about, dude? The fact that he said it does bring slight concerns, major concerns. Just something that I'll have in the back of my mind until he has like an incredible cold weather.
I think of it much like I thought when the offensive line had that brutal game penalty-wise. What game was that? Was Tennessee, right? Tennessee. At home, that one was. There you go.
Correct.
There you go. When the offensive line had all those penalties, 11 penalties in the game, and I think every single starter off on the offensive line had a penalty in the first half, my thought process after that was, if I see it again, then it becomes a problem. If I see Jalen Hurts struggle in the cold again, then it may become a problem. But until then, I'm not too worried about it.
I'm sorry. I'm just imagining you sitting in an empty Lincoln Financial Field Saturday, just like looking around, like, where is everybody?
I don't know. I know that they played here earlier in the year, so I don't know why I thought that.
It happened. Listen, we're at that point in the year where
it's all blending together.
It is, and that's a good thing because that means week in and week out, it's largely either. So there's 2 points of the season where it blends together, I've found in my time following the NFL. When you're a really bad football team, like let's say the Houston Texans, and every week you're coming out just to get smoked. Now, I know today they took the Chiefs to overtime, but basically you're rolling out every week to get your teeth kicked in. Or you're a really, really, really good team, and every week you're rolling out to kick somebody's teeth in, and you're losing track of the amount of wins that you have and everything like that. Like teams that are right around 500, they remember the season because it's, man, we played a close game this time, or man, that was a really disappointing game, or man, that was an awesome game. The Eagles, every game is pretty much an awesome game. So you do lose track a little bit in the haze of success of where we're at and what week it is and how many wins they have.
Yeah, you lose track of the dominance. I can't remember what game Miles Sanders had his best record, rushing or whatever it may be, because he's had a couple of them this season.
It wasn't this game, though.
No, it wasn't, and no fault to his own.
Now, what do you attribute that to? Let's play a little bit of, let's read some tea leaves here. When you look at Miles Sanders and not touching the ball early, like Nick Sirianni didn't tell us why they didn't. He just said we had matchups we liked. Whatever, that's coach speak. When you see that, what do you see? There can't be a lack of trust.
No.
There can't be like bad matchups. The Chicago defense isn't that good.
If this is Miles, sorry to interrupt. If this is Miles Sanders last year, it makes sense, right? Because Miles Sanders wasn't good last year. He didn't have a touchdown last season. This is a career year from Miles Sanders. He's earned that trust. So to me, I think much like they did against the Giants last week, where it's, hey, this team has a bad rush defense. The game plan should be simple, right? Just run the ball. They go out, pass, and they're up, 21-0 in the first quarter, early second quarter. And it's like, okay, it worked. So, yeah, maybe it was a better matchup to just run the ball and you can dominate. But if the pass game's working and Jalen Hurts has been an MVP this year, I understand why they would lean on the pass. I think that was probably their mindset coming into this game where, hey, we know Jalen Hurts can pass with the best of them. We know how good he's been this season. We're going to make them beat us via the air. We're going to make them stop us in the pass game. And today it happened, and I just think it wasn't a quick enough adjustment. Again, Jalen Hurts, it's an RPO offense. He's got to make the right reads and right decisions sometimes. Him keeping the ball in situations where maybe he should have handed it off to Miles Sanders. But at a point, you would think Steichen gets in his ear like, listen, I know you see what you're seeing. We got to get Miles more touches here. We got to draw up more touches for Miles Sanders. The fact that he didn't get a touch in the first quarter is what's crazy to me. But we've seen that happen before, though. We saw it last season. I think at the Cowboys game, he had 1 carry in the first half, and I think the Tampa Bay game early in the season, he had 3 carries. I believe Sirianni was the play caller still in both of those games. I'm almost positive he was. But we've seen this from this offense before where it's like, hey, maybe you're getting too cute. Maybe you're trying to outsmart yourself a little bit.
But last year, he wasn't this.
Agreed.
He had fumble issues.
But still, that should never happen in an NFL game.
At points.
1 carry from a running back in the first half.
Right. He's on the level of, you may not think of it, but if you look at the stats, like, in your mind's eye, when you hear the names Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb and guys like that, you think about like bell cow backs that you can give the ball to anytime. Jonathan Taylor, when he's healthy, obviously injured yesterday in Indy's game against Minnesota. But you're looking at a running back, when you think about those names, you got to get that guy 20 touches a game. Miles Sanders statistically this year has been in those, like that category. He's in that tier of running backs right now.
Miles Sanders is 5th in yards, total yards, rushing yards this season. He's 5th in total touchdowns as well, and he is 8th in yards per attempt.
That's a guy you've got to...
That's a top 10 back this year.
That's a guy you got to get the ball to. And the fact that wasn't a focus of today's game plan it's negligent. That's the only way to put it. 610-632-0975. Let's go to Jesse in upstate New York who wants to join us. Jesse, how cold is it up there, man? Is it like Chicago?
No, it's actually not too bad here. It's probably about 35.
Okay, that's good.
terrible.
What's
going on, man?
A big snowstorm over the weekend, but we didn't get any.
I'm happy for you. Better that way.
Yeah, definitely. Glad to be up there shoveling.
What do you have on the game, Jess?
I want to talk about that second interception. You feel like Quez should have cut over the middle on that, or you think he tried to push it up to the next level?
We had this conversation a little bit while it was happening, and we talked a little bit about it in our opening segment. Not sure. That's going to be one that depends on what the play call was and what the route he was supposed to be running was. It did look like...
Definitely looks like he had it over the middle. If he went over the middle, he would have went right to where he was going.
Right, and it might be a coaching point that pushed that up the field, because there's a little bit of that when you have a quarterback like Jalen Hurts who can extend plays, maybe the natural inclination to do that. Here's what I'll say, Jess. One way or another on that, that's not a decision that I want Jalen Hurts trying to make a throw for 2 reasons. One, the conditions weren't great, even though he made a great drop in the bucket throw to A.J. Brown later in the game. It wasn't great conditions for trying to hit tight windows today. And if you're going to try and hit a tight window, Quez Watkins is not my first. nor my second choice for the guy to try and do it to. So I had issues with that. Even if Quez was supposed to be there or put himself in a better spot, I still had issues with the decision to throw that ball.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to give a shout out to Kayvon Wallace, too. I think he played a pretty good game coming off the bench.
Yeah, he certainly did.
He led the team in tackles today, believe it or not.
Yeah,
9 total tackles.
All right, fellas. Have a good day.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it,
man.
Jesse. Thank
Stay
you.
warm up there, Jess. Hopefully you keep 35 degrees. I know how cold it gets in upstate New York this time of year. No fun up there.
Not Chicago weather, though. Two
yeah,
things. Kayvon Wallace, good game from him today. Stepping in when they needed him. Obviously, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson out. Reed Blankenship out. Stepped up big time today. Led the team in tackles. I know that can be deceiving sometimes because Alex Singleton led the team in tackles when he was here the one season. But I thought he was good today. I didn't see him be a negative. I thought he had a nice tackle towards the end of the game as well on a third down to have him short of the sticks. The Quez, I mean, I know you don't love the decision. That doesn't bother me. Like if a guy's supposed to be there, and as I've looked at it a couple times, it looked like Quez ran the wrong route. If a ball is perfectly thrown and the guy just ran the wrong route, I don't really care about the decision making at that point. Like Jalen Hurts has made great decisions this entire season. Made a great decision towards the end of the game, throwing to A.J. Brown inside coverage. With how good he's been this year, I know the weather's was bad. I know he wasn't completely on. It wasn't his best game we've seen of him. Might have been his worst game of the season this year. I'm fine with that throw. I think the first interception was definitely on Hurts. I don't believe that's the case for the second interception.
I get you. And against a different opponent, I agree. But this goes back to the game plan thing. This was a week with the contributing factors, the weather and the fact that you're playing the Chicago Bears, who are a 3-1 football team, that just says, don't take those chances. Like, you don't have to do anything spectacular to beat this team. Run the ball with your running backs. Pound the football. Every once in a while, take a shot. And you won the game. You put up over 300 yards through the air. You had 2 wide receivers over 100 yards. Listen, it ended up working out. This wasn't a losing game plan because they didn't lose the game. 25-20 in favor of your Philadelphia Eagles. But this was not the week to try and force things and take chances because you did not have to. Now, the nice thing is, in the playoffs, you're not seeing those situations. There's no overlooking anybody when it comes to the playoffs. Every week is going to have to be, you're going to have to take chances. You're going to have to make tough plays and everything. So this shouldn't be a problem moving forward. But just in the general growth of both Jalen Hurts and this coaching staff, remember, when we think about Jalen Hurts as a young player still, as good as he's been, this coaching staff, just as young in their experience in the NFL, at their current positions at least. So, in the growth of both of those segments of the team, Jalen Hurts as the quarterback and the coaching staff in general, a learning experience. When you're playing a team in tough weather that you don't have to do that much to beat, don't try and do too much. It felt like the Eagles came out with the intention to try and do too much today, and it took them away from what would have been a safer, smarter, and probably ultimately more effective game plan.
Yeah, but then it goes down to you're just coaching scared at that point. And I understand.
No. You're not coaching scared.
If you're not doing what got you to this point, then that's a problem as well. It was the lack of adjustment, and that's more on the coaching staff. Jalen Hurts, if he sees an open guy, he's going to make that throw because the guy should be there. So I can't blame Hurts at all for that. I can blame the coaching staff for not making the adjustment and trying to, hey, let's get more checkdowns, let's get more short stuff. This isn't working. It's not working today.
It's not a perfect comparison, but let's say they beat Dallas on Saturday night. Would you call it coaching scared to not play your starters the next 2 games if you don't need those games?
No, because of you risk injury.
It's conservative.
Yeah.
It's intelligent. It's safe. Scared and safe are not the same things. If I don't run into oncoming traffic, I'm not scared of the traffic. I'm being safe. You don't have to run into oncoming traffic against the Chicago Bears. You're not beating any traffic lights. You're good. Wait for the crosswalk, cross the street, win the game. I know, like I said, it's not a perfect comparison to resting the players, but my point is I don't consider that coaching scared. I consider that at this point in the year, knowing the opponent you're up against, knowing you have bigger goals in mind, knowing you just need to do what you need to do to win the game, coaching and playing a certain way, and don't open up the opportunity for something to go wrong. Just keep it more simple, if that makes sense. That's how I view it.
I understand. This team's going to do what got them to get to this situation. Jalen Hurts is going to do and continue to be the Jalen Hurts that he's been all season, continue to make the throws that he's made all season. It's just sometimes when you are a little too conservative against a worse team, and I agree with you. I did not think the game plan was good today. That's obvious. I said it. The running game should have been more prominent today as the game went along. Love what we saw from A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Love what we saw from Jalen Hurts towards the end of that game. But sometimes when you get too conservative and you try and get, too safe, quote unquote, too conservative, whatever you want to say, against a lesser team with a dynamic quarterback like that, that's when you can get bit as well because you're not taking chances and you're not doing the things that you've done all season to get you in this position.
That's a fair point. I don't think the rest of the Chicago Bears are talented enough to do that because you're also possessing the ball more, keeping it away from Justin Fields more if you run that other game plan. Here's the thing. We don't know, right? We're going off of what we think would have worked and what they should have done. I think everybody is in agreement that they should have ran the ball with the running backs more throughout the entire game. But that's also not a guarantee. We're playing hindsight. It's not a guarantee that would have been it would have worked out as effectively. Who knows how things would have happened if they did stuff differently? We never really know. So all we can go off of is what seemed like the smarter play, and I don't think they took the easiest path to this victory today, the offensive coaching staff.
Yep, and despite that, 13-1, and this team has dominated pretty much the entire season. And they can find ways to win in different ways, which is something that good football teams can do. They don't have to, it's not just one way that they can win where it's, we have to run like crazy. And if the run game doesn't work, then we're screwed. No, this team can win in different ways, and Jalen Hurts can make plays when it matters most. And that's one of my biggest takeaways today. Despite him not being his sharpest, despite him maybe playing one of his worst games of the season, still made plays when they needed to be made, still made good decisions late in that game. And you come away with the win. And when we look back on this season, hopefully, hoisting that Lombardi trophy, no one's going to be worried about how close this game with the Chicago Bears was, much like the Colts game.
Right. This is, again, and I mentioned this earlier in the show, this is a conversation for Sunday, December 18th.
Yes.
This is not a thing that we're going to be worrying about tomorrow. Well, maybe when we get like the regular day shows in and everything, and the John Kincaid show come on, and you'll have Cuz, and you'll have Best Show Ever, you have all these guys in. They'll talk about it as well because they haven't had the chance to react to it. But when we get into the middle of the week, this isn't going to be looking back at the Bears game like, I'm worried about what they did game plan-wise or anything. These are critiques in the post-game show vein, not ones that are going to affect the outcome of this season.
And I think I have a feeling that a lot of people are already on to Dallas. They were on to Dallas 3 weeks ago, but now especially, okay, tough, gritty win. You found a way to win.
And Dallas loses to Jacksonville?
500 yards they allowed on defense today. Over 500 yards.
That's what you're giving up to that team?
Micah Parsons, what happened, man? You're talking all that smack about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts goes out there, goes 13-1, plays a poor game, and still has 3 touchdowns total on the ground, 380-plus yards. Meanwhile, your defense gives up 500 yards to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I like the Jaguars, and I like Trevor Lawrence, and I like Doug Peterson. Obviously, still the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Trevor Lawrence, Jennifer Lawrence, Martin Lawrence, doesn't matter. You shouldn't be giving up. They're not good enough to put that up on a caliber defense that the Dallas Cowboys seem to think they have, and Micah Parsons seems to think they have down there. And if that's what they're doing, wait till you see what Jalen Hurts is about to do Saturday night.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is going to be a real fun week to talk our trash and get geared up for Dallas, especially knowing that the magic number is still 1 either way. So it's kind of like we're just playing with house money at this point when it comes to the Dallas matchup. You lose, you still got a good opportunity to win the NFC and win the NFC East. You win, and you get to celebrate in their locker room at Jerry World. No, we're still focused on postgame, but as we kind of turn our sights towards Saturday night, I'll just say this a little bit early. Could be a Merry Christmas, Philadelphia. A very Merry Christmas.
And apparently no hard feelings and no backlash, I guess you could say. No issues from Miles Sanders, despite his lack of touches today. Tweets out, "Don't care about y'all ticket or fantasy and never will," with 4 exclamation points. And also, Fletcher Cox, quote tweeting one Bryson Stott, love us some Bryson Stott, who said system quarterback with clown emojis.
Yeah.
Throwing some shade at Micah Parsons and others. Fletcher Cox, shh, don't tell nobody else. So Fletcher Cox, it seems like now they remember the comments from Micah Parsons.
Oh, I think they very much heard it. And we did as well. And now that we've moved on past Chicago, you can turn that into fuel for this coming week's game. It's just going to be an absolute incredible matchup Saturday night in Dallas. 610-632-0975. Connor Thomas, Tom Alvord. We will be right back with you after this quick break here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
97.5 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hi, it's John Kincaid. I hope you're listening to the show every single morning. You know, I'm a two-time cancer survivor, so I want to thank all of you who have joined us in supporting life-saving cancer research by donating at aacr.org/fanatic. And to our generous corporate partners, thank you for stepping up and supporting the AACR. It's the official charity of the John Kincaid Show.
Davis CPA Group. For personalized caring accountants, bookkeeping, payroll, and tax preparation services, visit daviscpagroup.com. With over 1,500 windows to choose from, Window Nation can outfit any home. Call 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com. You can always count on H&H Heating and Air Conditioning for total home comfort and fast, friendly, and local HVAC service. Visit delcohvac.com.
You know, donations to the American Association for Cancer Research from our listeners and corporate partners add up to big breakthroughs that benefit cancer patients worldwide. Join me. Make a life-saving donation today at aacr.org/fanatic.
BetParks is all about football. The BetParks Sportsbook app hooks you up every weekend with special promos on college football Saturdays and pro football Sundays. Every Saturday, BetParks offers a special half the spread promo on one select college football game, and they cut the spread in half at the same odds. Every Sunday, BetParks presents the double the spread promo on one select pro football game and doubles the spread at the same odds. Check out details at the BetParks app, at BetParks on Twitter, or BetParks.com. Must be 21 and in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's Rich Gannon for the BetParks Casino and Sportsbook app. As a former MVP quarterback, I love a solid game plan. The new BetParks app is everything you want in a mobile sportsbook right from your phone. Check out pro football same-game parlays or bet live once the game starts. And right now, all new BetParks users get up to $750 in sportsbook bonuses back if your first bet isn't a winner. Download the new BetParks app at betparks.com. Win sports, BetParks.
See website for terms and conditions. Bonus funds must be wagered once, must be 21 and over, and in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gather near and bring the cheer this holiday season. Dazzle and delight the love of your life with a gift from Hellsberg Diamonds. Don't miss great prices on stunning diamond studs, tennis bracelets, gemstone rings, and the year's must-have look, gold jewelry for stacking and layering. Another reason to go to Hellsberg? Get a free Microsoft Surface Laptop Go with a purchase of $1,699 or more. Visit Hellsberg.com or a store near you today. Limited time offer while supplies last. See online or in store for details.
Hey, it's Cuz, Colonial Marble and Granite, celebrating the holidays with an end-of-season sale. Get spectacular savings. 20% off all marble, granite, quartz kitchen countertops, 25% off select kitchen cabinetry, and all-in wood vanity with granite countertop for just $6.99. Celebrate the season by giving yourself and your house a gift that will last a lifetime from Colonial Marble and Granite. Stop by an area showroom or make an appointment for a free in-home consultation. Visit colonialmarble.net today. Tell them Cuz sent you.
Since the dawn of time, men and women have fought over one thing: the temperature. It's too hot. It's too cold. I'm sweating. I'm freezing. It's time to end the thermostat wars. With special financing offers on a high-efficiency heating and cooling system, including Trane's whole house air filtration system, you'll get even, consistent heat and breathe cleaner, healthier air. Visit Trane.com to find an independent Delaware Valley Trane comfort specialist near you. It's hard to stop a Trane. Subject to credit approval. See dealer for details.
My son Finn was born with congenital heart disease and spent the first 8 months of his life in the hospital. Starlight Children's Foundation has played an important role in our lives. For 5 weeks as a baby, Finn lived in a Starlight Hero wagon instead of having to sleep in a hospital bed. Starlight provides moments of joy for families like mine at a time where there's very little to be found. Learn more about how Starlight brightens the lives of sick kids by visiting starlight.org today.
You don't want to miss the Philadelphia Flyers hit the ice at Wells Fargo Center this season. Side of the net in front, connecting, he scores! Tic-tac goal! Be here when the Flyers take on the Columbus Blue Jackets on December 20th at 7 p.m. and get your holiday celebration started early with $5 draft beers all game long. Score! Kevin Hayes! Top shelf! Get your tickets now. Only at PhiladelphiaFlyers.com.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals for Business start now with fresh, limited quantity deals on tech to drive productivity. Save on select performance laptops and desktops powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything, and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Hi, it's Tyrone Johnson. Just because Santa sticks with the same sled every year doesn't mean you have to. Start the new year in style with a new vehicle from Barlow Chevrolet, like the 2023 Silverado, Malibu, or Equinox. Plus, with their Chevy Red Tag event, you can get $500 bonus cash on select popular models ordered by January 3rd. At Barlow Chevrolet, they make sure to stay on Santa's nice list with honest pricing and dedicated service every day. Find them at Barlow Chevrolet in Delran or online at barlowchevrolet.com. Hey, it's Cuz. Are you getting ready for a home improvement cleanup? The garage, the bathroom, big move? Let me tell you about the perfect solution, the Bagster. The Bagster, by far the most convenient, affordable way to help with your cleanup. The Bagster isn't just a great product. It's a 3 cubic yard dumpster in a bag sold at Home Depot, Lowe's, local home improvement stores everywhere, and for only $29.99. Holds 3,300 pounds of waste. Buy it, fill it, schedule your collection. Poof, it's gone. Clean it up with the Bagster dumpster. In the back.
When you open a crisp, cold Bud Light, you know game day is here.
You owe me $5.
We mean every sound. Enjoy responsibly. 2022 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
If you're placing bets on this weekend's games, call Free Winners for your free picks. Give Free Winners a call for your free picks at 888-366-3733. That's 888-366-FREE.
WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, home of the most entertaining sports talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
.601 here at 97.5 The Fanatic Studios. Connor Thomas and Tom Alvord with your Eagles post-game coverage. Some interesting stuff going on in the 4 o'clock games. Tampa Bay is hanging it on the Bengals right now.
This league makes no sense. Tampa gets blown out 2 games in a row. Bengals are absolutely rolling, and the Bengals are down 17-3 in the third quarter.
And I'll tell you
Makes
what,
no sense.
This is why it's even more impressive. Not that anyone is out here saying, well, anyone in Philadelphia at least, is saying that the Eagles being 13-1 is not incredibly impressive. But it makes you realize just how much more impressive it is to not have more than one slip up to this point. It's just so hard to win consistently at this level. There's so much parity. There's so many things that could go wrong. And the Eagles just continue to find ways to win football games. Sometimes it's blowouts and demolishing other teams, ripping their heart out. Sometimes it's like today, where it was a tight game and it was sloppy and it was gritty, like we've called it many times, and it wasn't Jalen Hurts' best game by any stretch of the imagination, and the game plan wasn't good, and you still come out and you win. Lesser teams, when you come out with a bad game plan like that, you get smoked. This team, you come out with a bad game plan, and you have enough talent, and you have enough adjustments by the coaching staff at halftime and later in the game, and you do enough things well that you win regardless.
And that should be the biggest takeaway, and that is the biggest takeaway, I believe, from today's game is when you look around the NFL today specifically, but you can do this every single week, and you see the Chiefs go to overtime with the Texans, and you see the Cowboys lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you see the Bengals losing by 2 touchdowns to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have looked awful for a majority of this season. We have to appreciate how hard it is to go 13-1. I don't care about how favorable the schedule has been this season. I don't care about how they've won games. I don't care about any of that. It is really hard to win games in the league. It is really hard to win 13 games in your first 14 games. This team's been incredible this season. And no, it wasn't the same type of dominant win like we saw against the Titans or like we saw against the New York Giants. But it was a win, and that's all that really matters. No, it wasn't Jalen Hurts' best performance, but he made plays when they needed to be made, and that's all that matters. It is tough to win in this league, and the Eagles continually, they do it game in, week in, every single week. It's been awesome this year, man. We've had a lot of issues with Philly sports. We have. We went through the process.
The understatement of the century, but yes.
The Phillies, other than this season, have been a disaster for the last 10 years. The Flyers are a disaster. We've had a lot of bad times here in Philadelphia. I think we need to appreciate this a little bit, just how good this team has been this season and how good this quarterback has been this season.
Absolutely incredible. Yes, drink it in Philadelphia. You have a 13-1 football team, the best in the NFL. Something else that I think we need to appreciate, and I tried to talk this into people all week long. Now, I was calling it a trap game, whether you agree with that, whatever. That's a conversation for another time. I'm sure I'll mention it a little bit with Jockey Cade tomorrow morning on the Jockey Cade Show because he did not like that I was calling it a trap game. So we will have that conversation then, not a conversation for postgame right now because that's a little too in the weeds. But here's what I'll say when it comes to the Chicago Bears. No, I do not have stock in the Chicago Bears. No, I am not secretly a Chicago Bears fan. None of this. I just look at them as a team that is more talented than what their record shows, and they're closer than a lot of people would give them credit for to being a competitive team. Now, they have 3 wins this year. Do you know who their 3 wins are against, Tom?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay, so one is against the Houston Texans. Whatever. Texans stink. They're a 1-win football team. I don't care that they just went to overtime with the Chiefs today. The Texans are a garbage football team and a, frankly, bad organization.
Sure.
Who knows how they'll pull out of that. Their other 2 wins, though, against the New England Patriots, 33-14.
Still Bill Belichick.
Doubled them up. And week 1 against the San Francisco 49ers.
Look at that.
Those aren't a bad couple of wins to have on the resume. Now, that doesn't make Chicago a good team. What it does do is it makes Chicago, when you look at it in that vein, and I don't think there really are teams, you talked about the weirdness, like the Texans stink. The Bears, you could argue they're not good. But there are other teams that are like really, really bad across the NFL. The Denver Broncos stink.
Yes, they do.
But this is a year where
we didn't throw shade at Russell Wilson yet this week.
Oh no, he's still bad.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. There's our Russell Wilson shade throwing. Sorry if you just tuned in for that. You sat through so much of Eagles post game to wait for the ricochet shot. Well, it paid off. He still
finally
stinks.
came. Yes.
My point is, in a year where there aren't that many really good teams in the NFL, you also have to take into account that some of those teams down at the bottom that are 3, 4, 5 wins are a little bit more dangerous than their record shows that they are. So take that into account when you look at how the Eagles played the Bears today, too. And the effort that the Bears, a valiant effort that the Bears put in today against the Eagles. If I'm a Chicago Bears fan, I'm happy with how that team showed up today and what my young quarterback in Justin Fields did.
And not only do they have wins against the Patriots and against the 49ers, they've had some close games this season, too. Giants, 1-score loss. Vikings, 1-score loss. Commanders, 1-score loss. Dolphins, 1-score loss. Why can't I? Lions, 1-score loss.
1 point loss.
1 point loss. Like, and Eagles, obviously, today, 1-score loss. I said it to you pre-game. I forget when it was. Maybe during the game. I forget.
Yeah.
That this Bears team, if they make the right decisions and can give Justin Fields some help, O-line, receiver, it wouldn't shock me if this team is the Detroit Lions of this year, next year.
Yeah.
Where Detroit was awful last year. They get a couple pieces. They have a head coach that they trust in. They take a big leap, and they're a potential playoff team this season. Wouldn't shock me if that happened to Chicago if they put the right pieces around Justin Fields.
Yeah, like there are some dangerous parts of that Bears team today. This wasn't like in years past, before Trevor Lawrence was in Jacksonville. Well, I mean, Jacksonville's really not that good this year. Could you imagine being like a playoff contending team?
They might win the division, Jacksonville.
I know. But
I think they're 500.
They're not that good of a team. Like they're all right, but like, could you imagine a playoff contending team going down to Jacksonville and losing to that team right now? Like that would just be.
Imagine if they put up like 500 yards on what was supposed to be the best defense in the league.
Like no one's giving up 40 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars, or no team worth worrying about. Shout out Dallas, proud of you guys. Good effort today.
Thanks, Dougie P.
My point is, in years past, there have been teams that have been just completely don't deserve to be on an NFL field with other teams. The Bears are not one of those teams. So take that for what it's worth. But the Eagles also I think the Eagles deserve to play a better game today than what they did. And I point more than I point to the Chicago Bears of being better than the 3-win record shows. I point more, again, to the game plan needing to be better to make us more comfortable in games against a team that shouldn't hang around with the Philadelphia Eagles. But again, nitpicking. This team is 13-1. You take on the win. You go on the road. You win in a league that's very tough to win on the road in. I mean, just really, what is that? Is that 9 straight road wins? They continue to add. They already, when they moved to 7 straight road wins, the Philadelphia Eagles were already the longest streak in the NFL currently.
They got 7 this season. I don't know if that dates back to last year, but 7-0 this season on the road.
Regular season, of course, because they lost in Tampa Bay in the playoffs.
Yes, okay. So 7 straight road wins this season.
Yes.
7-0. Yep.
I mean, that's tough to do. This is a really talented football team. Not breaking any news there. 630-632-0975. Let's hop back to the phones. Let's talk to Leonard in Philly who wants to talk a little Jalen Hurts. Leonard, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey guys. I think it was a great win. I actually see it as just a slightly different. I think the old school motto is like you run the ball in cold weather months, December, January.
Right.
And I think you win, as we saw in 2017 and other Super Bowls, that you win through the air. And,
Leonard, Leonard, I'll give you your
Right.
time real quick on that. You're right. You win through the air. My point on the game plan today needing to run is the teams that you need to beat through the air are the Dallas Cowboys, the Minnesota Vikings, the San Francisco 49ers, those playoff quality teams. Today was not a playoff quality team. You can beat this team on the ground, the Chicago Bears. So it just felt like too much of a deviation from the easy game plan. You're not wrong that you win through the air, but that's more my point.
Agreed. I think there's a chip. I don't know if this is correct. This is just a theory. I think there's a chip on Coach Sirianni's on his shoulder with Jalen Hurts. I think they really want to prove that he can throw. I mean, he threw some dimes. I mean, he's thrown dimes all year. And I think there's a little bit of chip on his shoulder to say, see, you know what? It's not all about his legs. He can throw the ball, and he can throw the ball with diversity. I mean, whenever Patrick Mahomes has 2 or 3 touchdowns and he gets 300-400 yards, they don't really look at the narrative of interceptions. And I think, obviously we know that there's this narrative with Jalen Hurts not being, an accurate or, Patrick Mahomes being better. But I think overall he has a chip, and he showed that, Jalen can win even in interceptions.
Yeah, especially after some of the noise they heard about Jalen Hurts this week, potentially.
Agreed.
And it could be a chip on his shoulder. It could also be, listen, Hurts has done it this year, all year. We can count on him to do this. Or count on him to do this. Week in and week out, Jalen Hurts has beaten teams through the air. So it could be a little bit of chip on your shoulder. It could be a little bit of, go stop him because no one else has this season.
Yeah, and, I think that it definitely proves, I think, even after this game, he's had some pretty easy games where he doesn't have much adversity, but, the cold, and I think he admitted, and I was very, some people may look at him admitting that, his hands being numb, that, he's complaining, being honest and truthful, and it really did affect him. He's just got to get better at it. But I think in the end he will.
Oh, I got you, Leonard. I totally got you. I appreciate the call, man.
Appreciate it, man.
You enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Great call there from Leonard. I liked the points he was making there. I don't know that today definitively showed me, okay, for sure, Jalen Hurts can win in the cold, no problem, which was kind of what I think Leonard was getting at there. I'm not worried about a game in the cold. I just think about his comments, and I'm like, that was kind of uncharacteristic of Hurts to bring up the fact that he couldn't feel his hands, and he didn't like playing in that
Which
weather.
I'm curious, because this is now 2 weeks in a row where we've seen more personality from Hurts post-game. We had
You're
last
right. He
week.
got a little chesty last week.
Last week he gets a little chesty about his haters and his doubters. This week he shows that he's human for the first time all season, right? Not just on the field and what he did. And listen, I said it was one of the worst games of the season, and that's no slight at Jalen Hurts. That's just how good he's been this year. But he goes out, and you're used to, we do what we got to do. We're not used to rat poison, take stuff from this, yada, yada, yada. The QB speak that he normally does. This is 2 straight weeks where we've actually seen some personality from Hurts, and I'll be honest, I kind of like it, to be honest. And I don't really care about, I know some people say, I want to see more personality from Hurts. He's got to show who he really is in this city. I really don't care about that at all. If you're winning football games and you're putting up MVP numbers, I don't care. Chase Utley had a great career here. He's one of the most beloved Philly athletes of all time. Chase Utley didn't say a word, so that doesn't bother me. But I do like it when you see a little bit of personality from some of the top players in this city. So 2 straight weeks, and maybe I'm looking a little too much into it, but 2 straight weeks post-game, we've seen more personality from Hurts, and it's something that I'd honestly like to see going forward a little bit more, too.
I don't mind one way or another.
Yeah, me either, honestly.
Yeah, like I care about on the field.
Yep.
I don't really care as long as you're not doing anything illegal, I don't care about what you do off the field. Just show up and play the game and play well. But I get why some people they would enjoy seeing that from Hurts and opening up more. We like personality in this city.
Absolutely.
So there's nothing wrong with that. Now, we are on YouTube as well, on 97.5 The Fanatic. As Tom waves hi to the YouTube, I'll give you guys a wave as well, so you can check us out there if you want to watch.
Haley Taylor. Thank you.
I think my dad is currently watching.
Look at that.
So, hello, Dad. How are you doing, Mr. Thomas? But there's a comment here from Walter Frisbee that I want to get into. It says, stop it with the overreacting. All the good teams struggled with bad teams today. And we have mentioned that there were weird games and everything like that.
I think I've said that multiple times, haven't I?
Listen to this. Walter. If I can call you Walter. Walt, maybe? Are we close enough friends to call Walt? Yeah. good teams struggled with bad teams today. The Eagles are not a good team. The Eagles are a great team. The Eagles are the best team. The goal is to hold yourself to a higher standard than all the other good teams because you're trying to be the best team. When good teams struggle with bad teams, I want to watch the Philadelphia Eagles beat the brakes off the Chicago Bears because that is how good they are. Now, if they don't and they still win, I'm not going to come on here and rant and rave about, oh, they should have beat them by more. I'm not doing that. But saying that that's the standard that they're able to play to and wanting to see them play to that standard is the right way to handle this. The goal is not good team anymore. Maybe back in September, the goal was good team. Maybe it was great team. Now, the goal is best team. The goal is Super Bowl. The goal is ring on your and it is not acceptable to do what other good teams do. Now, week in and week out, you can have slip-ups. And that's why we're fine with what the Eagles did today. They won. We're critiquing them because we have that opportunity, and they won, and we can nitpick because of how good of a team they are. We've been saying that for the last 2-3 months. Since the Eagles, we realize how good this team really is. But don't lose sight of the goal. The goal is not to be a good team. And the standard we are holding the Philadelphia Eagles to is not a good football team. It is the best football team. It is the utmost, the greatest, the paramount, not the penultimate, not the second to last. No, the ultimate, last, best team in the NFL. That's the standard that they're going to be held to. And that's our right to be able to do that because of how talented they are. Just need to get that out. Was that all fair?
Yeah, that's the Eagles spoiling you, though. That's what that is.
That is. But allow yourself to be spoiled. Allow yourself to be spoiled. We don't get spoiled very often. It's okay. We can look at this and say, hey, they're an incredible team. Let's treat them like an incredible team. And that's what I think we're doing by looking at the game plan and saying, hey, this needs to be better. This needs to be that. This needs to be the other thing. That's just simply how I feel about
we're just you're taking things away positively and negatively, and it's been 95% positive this entire season, you could probably say, but there is some negatives, and it's things that, hey, if this happens in the playoffs, this could potentially bite you, whether it's a late adjustment from the offense, whether it's a late adjustment from the defensive coordinator, whether it's penalties on the offensive line, whether it's not taking care of the football, but we all realize how good this team is.
Yes.
We all realize what this team's ceiling is and how good this team and how they could finish this season out. So even though we're taking some negative things away from this game, we know that it's a tough league to win in.
Right,
and we
exactly.
realize how tough wins are, how hard they are to come by in this league. So the fact that they were able to get this win with Jalen Hurts not having a tremendous MVP type like performance, despite the offensive game plan not being the best, the fact they can come away with the win on the road in single-digit weather against a dynamic quarterback, pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good is right.
Pretty good.
And also, Walter, one more thing. Thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate
Thanks. I want to tell you about something else here real quick, Tom.
What's that?
So the playoffs are coming. I don't know if you know this.
They are.
And 97.5 The Fanatic is planning a party live from the best fan cave. But we just got to find it. We don't know where it is. It could be yours. Could be mine. Well, no, we can't. We can't enter. But it could be yours listening out there. Listen, we're looking for the most awesomest, most insane, most amazing fan cave to broadcast live and kick off playoff weekend. Maybe it's your basement, your garage, your shed. As long as it's awesome, we want to see it. Go to 97.5thefanatic.com for details and to get your fan cave in the running. A winner gets a live broadcast from 97.5 The Fanatic and $1,000 to spend at Royal Billiard. Listen, that's awesome. You get prizes. You get to see us. You get to have bragging rights. You got the best fan cave. Oh, man, that's awesome. 97.5 The Fanatic. Live from your fan cave is presented by Royal Billiard. The new showroom is open, 515 Bethlehem Pike in Colmar, PA, or online at royalbilliard.com. It's also presented, of course, by us here, 97.5 The Fanatic. And let me tell you, Tom, did you make it out when we had the broadcast? We broadcasted from a listener's backyard down in Glassboro, I think it was. And it was
I didn't
amazing. We did that this summer. It's very much like
Devon?
that.
Was Devon doing it?
Devon was doing the broadcast, and a bunch of us showed up. I know Best Show Ever was there. Morning Show guys, we went out and everything. Anthony popped by. I know he had some football, but he popped by for a second. That was an awesome event. Go ahead, and if you think your fan cave is worthy, man, definitely go ahead and check that out and apply to potentially be the winner of that, because it's a really, really fun event. You're really going to enjoy being a part of it if your fan cave gets selected. So go ahead and check that out. Go ahead.
Real quick.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Caller dropped off, who I was looking forward to talking to. The callers mentioned how he wonders how I could call this the worst performance of Jalen Hurts this season. And I'd like to explain myself. So
please do.
I said today And I've said it many different ways. This wasn't an MVP type performance. This wasn't the performance we're used to seeing. And I've also thrown in this might be the worst performance we've seen from Jalen Hurts so far this season. That is not a slight at Jalen Hurts. That is a compliment to Jalen Hurts because he has been that good this season, because he has been the MVP this season, where he can rack up 380 yards total and score 3 touchdowns on the ground, and I can call that the worst performance of the season. The reason I'm calling it that is because in this season for Jalen Hurts, today, I guess technically, today was his second worst quarterback rating of the season, his worst completion percentage in a game of the season, and the most turnovers he's had in a game this season.
That's objectively his worst game.
So that's all I'm saying. This is not a slight. It is a compliment to Jalen Hurts that he can have this kind of performance and these kind of stats and it still be the worst performance of the season and they can still come away with a W. So just wanted to clarify for anyone who had any issues with that.
Yeah, like a guy like me, like my worst day in radio, I might get fired. But a professional like yourself, Tom, your worst day in radio is still a pretty damn good day in radio.
My worst day of radio is saying that the Eagles have a home game next week when they've play in Dallas in a dome. That was my worst.
That wasn't your best moment.
Not my strongest moment.
Maybe they'll open the windows and weather will be a factor down there in freezing cold Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, you never know, man.
You get the point. Like, worst does not always mean bad. It means comparatively lower than the other data points. Today, Hurts was comparatively lower performance-wise than what he's been throughout the rest of the season. And that's more indicative of how good he's been than saying he was terrible today, because we did not say that. We do not mean that. That is not factual. Jalen Hurts was not terrible today. Was he worse than his other performances this year? Yes. It's okay. You still won the game. You still come out victorious. You're still a 13-1 football team. He's still the MVP.
Also, third worst completion percentage. My bad. Not worst.
Okay.
But still.
Well, then I take back everything.
Okay. Nice.
The point still stands. 610-632-0975. Now, there's one more part of the postgame show we haven't gotten to, Tom.
What's that?
Tim McManus.
Can't wait.
He's going to join us coming up on the other side. 6:30, 6:21 right now. He's going to join us right coming out of the next break. So do not touch that dial. Do not go anywhere. If you're on the YouTube, don't go looking up cat videos in the break. No, stay right here. Promise, we're just as entertaining, if not more so. And Tim McManus certainly is. We will talk to ESPN's own Tim McManus coming up next. Connor Thomas, Tom Alvord, and we'll be right back with you here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, it's Ricky Bowe. Is your home in need of new windows and doors, but you decided to brave through one more cold season before making the plunge? Then let me tell you why acting now will not only keep your family feeling warm all winter long while lowering your high heating bills, but also save you big bucks with the big end-of-year sale from my good friends at Guided Door and Window. Guided is bringing back their biggest discounts of the year. Receive 40% off each window you buy. Yes, 40% off every professionally installed window. You'll also receive 40% off any door, including entry doors, patio doors, garage doors, and storm doors. And don't worry about touching your holiday money, because Guida will start your project with no money down and allow you to pay it off interest-free for up to 12 months. If you need new windows and doors, then you need to go Guida right now so you can take advantage of all these huge savings. All prior sales are excluded. Offer expires December 31st. So call Guida today to schedule a free in-home estimate at 1-877-GO-GUIDA or visit them at GoGuida.com. That's go, GUIDA.com.
Dr. Trudy Fleer here with the 5G Home Recovery Podcast. Today's episode is inspired by those T-Mobile home internet speeds that are much slower than Xfinity's lickety-split speeds. Speeds that slow to a crawl can leave us feeling like we have to move faster to compensate. Wrong. We don't have to move faster. The internet does. Now, you can move however you want. You want to move like a sloth? Do it. Be a sloth. A sloth with blazing fast Xfinity internet that you should have gotten in the first place. I hate to say I told you so, but, you know. Learn more at xfinity.com/TMOFacts.
Now through December 21st, new customers can get started with 400 megabits per second fast internet for just $30 a month for 2 full years, with no annual contract when you add Xfinity Mobile at regular rates. Or get $200 back when you upgrade to gig speed. Go to xfinity.com/TMOFacts, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary.
Hey guys, are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? There's a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men and is now available in Philadelphia. Oak Hills Medical Clinic uses WAVE technology, backed by 50 clinical studies, including from Cambridge University. It's been shown to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call now to schedule a completely free and confidential assessment. You'll receive a free blood flow ultrasound and get something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom in just minutes. This unprecedented offer is worth $600, but is free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 215-302-9999. That's 215-302-9999. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Oak Hills Medical Clinic of Philadelphia now to schedule your completely confidential appointment. 215-302-9999.
Hey guys, Bob Cooney here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. All you have to do is sign up with promo code Bob. You can go money line, you can go point spreads. My favorite, player props. That's right. Over under rushing, over under receiving yards, touchdowns, all of those things you can do. And you can combine your bets for a chance at an even bigger payout with the same game parlay. And now with live betting, you get updated odds on games that have already started. And most importantly, you get paid fast. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Sign up with promo code Bob for your no-sweat first bet. That's promo code Bob. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in PA. First online real money wager only. Refund issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7 with supplies and solutions for every industry and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Since the dawn of time, men and women have fought over one thing: the temperature. It's too hot. It's too cold. I'm sweating. I'm freezing. It's time to end the thermostat wars. With special financing offers on a high-efficiency heating and cooling system, including Trane's whole house air filtration system, you'll get even, consistent heat and breathe cleaner, healthier air. Visit Trane.com to find an independent Delaware Valley Trane comfort specialist near you. It's hard to stop a Trane. Subject to credit approval. See dealer for details.
Gather near and bring the cheer this holiday season. Dazzle and delight the love of your life with a gift from Helzberg Diamonds. Don't miss great prices on stunning diamond studs, tennis bracelets, gemstone rings, and the year's must-have look, gold jewelry for stacking and layering. Another reason to go to Helzberg? Get a free Microsoft Surface Laptop Go with a purchase of $1,699 or more. Visit Helzberg.com or a store near you today. Limited time offer while supplies last. See online or in-store for details.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals for Business start now with fresh, limited quantity deals on tech to drive productivity. Save on select performance laptops and desktops powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything, and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Primo Hoagies has a primo deal on primo gift cards this holiday season. Right now, buy a $25 gift card and get a $5 bonus card, or buy a $100 gift card and get a $25 bonus card this Christmas. Make it primo, not just a hoagie. It's primo.
The right gift makes all the difference this holiday, and PGA Tour Superstore has something for every player on your list. The home for golf pros and beginners, PGA Tour Superstore has the largest selection in golf club, shoes, apparel, and more. Visit their Plymouth meeting store or shop PGA Tour Superstore.com.
Philly sports fans, the energy of the city. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Woo!
6:29 here, 97.5 The Fanatic. Connor Thomas, Tom Alvord, Eagles post-game coverage. Your Philadelphia Eagles. Again, maybe you missed the game. No, I know you didn't, but just in case you forgot already, they're 13-1 with a 25-20 victory over the Chicago Bears. It was not the prettiest win of their year. It was not the cleanest. The game plan was questionable, and still, Jalen Hurts just had some magical moments. The defensive line was incredible. A.J. Brown, you see why the Eagles went out and got him. and the mystery of why the Tennessee Titans let him go continues to grow. But positives and negatives, a lot to make sense from this game. And we've been trying to for a while. But listen, you know why Tim McManus is great? Because it takes what we take 3 hours to do, he does for us in just a short check-in after he gets done all of his work covering the Eagles post-game coverage and everything like that. So without further ado, ESPN's own Tim McManus joins us on the Comcast Business Hotline. Tim, how's it going up there in Chicago? Have you warmed up yet? I know Jalen Hurts was talking about how frigid it was up there today.
Well, we had two very different experiences. Jalen Hurts had to be in that frigid cold for 3+ hours. I was in the press box. Just like getting an Uber afterwards and having to be out there for 10 minutes was kind of brutal.
You didn't want to sneak into the nosebleeds or anything?
No, thank you. I was quite all right exactly where I was, but it is a different biting cold here. And, so I had some real sympathy for those players out there and certainly the fans in the stands. And I think it had an impact on the game today.
No, you could tell by the early play from the Eagles. Now, we'll get into stuff about the game plan here in a second. There's plenty to break down, but you could tell by the early play, the weather was certainly a factor. I do want to ask a little bit about Jalen Hurts' post-game comments, though, saying how he couldn't feel his hands, how he's never played in anything like that cold. And I know he made the comparison, Chicago cold is not Philly cold. And that's absolutely fair. Totally different climates between those two cities. But I know you heard those comments from Jalen Hurts about the cold and how it affected him. Should that sow any seeds of doubt or any slight worry about him playing in the cold in the playoffs in Philadelphia? Or do you take that more as it was a kind of shock to the system being up there in Chicago and not something to worry about going forward?
Yeah, somebody had mentioned in the press box that this was the first game below freezing that he had played. I'll have to verify to see if that's right. But certainly, I'll raise my hand and vouch. It's a different cold. What's happening right here in Chicago is different even than Philly when Philly gets cold. But certainly, once they get into January ball, it's going to be in Philadelphia. It's going to be cold out, and this is something that the team is going to have to get used to. I don't think there's any question that the elements impacted Hurts in this game, from not being able to feel his hands to kind of the wind that whips right off the lake and affects the passes and the kicks and all that kind of stuff. It's a different beast. But playoff football is a different beast and something that he's going to get acclimated to. I don't really walk away with any kind of long-term concerns about Hurts or the passing game or whether he's going to be able to operate in cold weather. I think it's just kind of an experience that he needed to have, one that he'll, I'm sure, learn from. And these elements don't come along all that often, so I'm not sure he'll be playing in them again.
Absolutely. And you would think, potentially, if this is your quarterback's first game in freezing temperature or under freezing, if that is true, maybe the offensive game plan would be more run-heavy early. That was not the case today. I believe Miles Sanders did not have a touch in the first quarter, and there were only 6 carries via running back through 3 quarters. What did you make of the offensive game plan today from Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni?
Yeah, I didn't think it was particularly good. I mean, I think that because of those very reasons, you could slice up Chicago's defense a couple different ways. If you look at, their inefficiency against both the run and the pass, you can see that you can do it in a multitude of ways. And this team has the luxury. It's one of the few that does. It's like, all right, well, let's beat them this way today. And I think they kind of chose the wrong option. You can see where they were coming from because they were taking some deep shots down the field. Some of them hit. You saw Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown both have some big days and some big catches, and you understand where they were coming from, where they saw where they could get on Chicago. They saw where the matchup favored them, and they went after him. But was it the right thing to do, all things considered? It didn't feel that way, especially once you saw that Hurts was not having his best day as a passer, that he was being impacted by those elements. And then you look down at the stat sheet and you see that Miles Sanders doesn't get his first carry until midway through the second quarter. It wasn't their best day. I mean, just flat out, that they've had better Sundays this season for sure.
Now, I'll tell you who's had really good Sundays pretty consistently has been the defensive line, specifically the pass rush. We know there's trouble with the rushing defense before the additions of Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh and getting Jordan Davis back. But the pass rush has been pretty darn good consistently to the point where you have 5 players that could potentially push or are already over the double-digit sack mark for the season. Can you just put into perspective to us from your point of view how talented this defensive line has been in the pass rush, not just this game or recently, but over the course of the entire season?
Yeah, it's important to highlight because I think, number one, they were the story of this game. Like, when other things were kind of failing them, the pass rush stepped up and made some huge plays. And I think Hassan Reddick leading that charge. And is there any doubt that the 3 and 45 that they gave him in free agency has paid dividends? I mean, that's money incredibly well spent, and he's led the charge. And I think that he had the best performance maybe of anybody on the field today. And then overall, they're on an historic pace. They're going to most likely break their personal record for sacks in the season. They were leading the NFL in sacks with 49 coming into this game. They get 6 more, so they're up to 55. And then you just kind of look across. It's not just a couple of guys that are leading the charge. I mean, you see Josh Sweat is on the doorstep of double-digit sacks. Javon Hargrave is right there. Reddick has gone past it. Brandon Graham has a chance to get it as well. And so it's just like, not only do you have some top-end players, but you have waves of players. And that is so big. Like, when you talk to, some coaches about matchups and things like that, it's not always just about the top guys that you're facing. It's what's next. And if you have a defensive line that's thin, even if you have some really high-end players, can come back to bite you because those guys get tired and you guys have to come in and there's a big drop-off. But here, there's just not really that, and credit to Howie Roseman and the Eagles organization for building within the offensive and defensive lines. And then when it was obvious that they were having some issues when Jordan Davis was out, to go out and they get 2 veterans and Sue and Linval Joseph to kind of shore everything up. I mean, that's where the game is often won, as you guys know, and they're as strong as anybody on both fronts.
Talking to Tim McManus of ESPN. Tim, you answered it a little bit in your opening statement. I want to know, what did you make of Jalen Hurts and his performance today? I thought it was one of his lesser performances of the year, and that's no slight. That's just how good he's been this season. But he made plays when it mattered most. That throw to A.J. Brown late in the game was incredible. Also, what did you make of Justin Fields? Because despite how good the defensive line was today, that guy looks like he's going to be a problem for years to come.
Yeah, Fields is awesome. He's a lot of fun to watch, and not only is he able to escape, but he also, some of the guys in the locker room afterwards were talking about the kind of power that he runs with as well. Slay's like he's got to squat 600 pounds. Like, that dude is ridiculously strong, and so it was a lot of fun to kind of watch those two quarterbacks go head to head, and Hurts. Yeah, I mean, it was his first multi-interception game of the season, which is impressive within itself. But today, he was not as efficient as he has been in the passing game. But he comes up with big plays, and by the way, just scores 3 touchdowns on the ground, and he's about to pass Cam Newton for most rushing touchdowns in a single season. He's just one behind him now, and he's doing a lot of incredible things. And then the one stat that I just saw as I'm looking at some of these game notes is that Hurts is the youngest quarterback ever to lead a team to a 13-1 start. So what else do you need to know? He's been amazing.
That pretty much says it all right there. Wins are the most important stat, and he's got him in spades this season. Now, something that the Eagles have done really well this year, and there was another instance of it today. I know you're ingrained with the team, so you're probably the best person we can ask about what you attribute it to. Kayvon Wallace had a great day today, and it comes after having to be inserted in last week for an injury to Reed Blankenship, who was inserted in for the injury to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And it seems like maybe not the game they first come in, but the first week that they go to these guys who are backing up starters that you might not normally look at as successful replacements, well, those players have had big weeks. What do you attribute that to? Is it the culture? Is it specific coaching from the position coaches? It's just been, their depth has been impressive from guys that don't look to be great depth pieces on paper.
Yeah, and I think that we need to give some credit to Avonte Maddox as well, because in the base packages, at least early, he was playing safety, and then Kayvon Wallace will come in when they would go into their nickel packages. So that was a little bit of a different wrinkle that we weren't necessarily expecting. But to your point, it seems like no matter who Jonathan Gannon puts in there, they have risen to the occasion. And I think that Sure, it does. It does speak to coaching. It also speaks to the quality of depth that they have and the players around them. Maybe most importantly, like if you have a defensive line that's disruptive the way they are and corners that can shut down the way that they do, it makes a safety's job all that easier. And then, the next point I would make is that they haven't gone up against dynamic passing offenses really. So they've been kind of getting hit at the safety spot, maybe at the right time, where they've been going up primarily against like run-centric offenses, and they've been helped out by that. And so I still remain curious when they, face a really good pass attack, like the one on Saturday. What do they continue to hold up? So that's where my eye is, kind of squarely focused on as we start heading into Dallas week to see if that back end can continue to do what it's been doing, but obviously very impressive what we've seen out of the reserves over the last handful of weeks.
Talking to Tim McManus of ESPN. Last one here for you, Tim. Another player and another two players who were impressive today, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Both incredible games from both of them. Despite A.J. Brown having, I believe, 2 drops in this game, he bounces back and goes crazy. 9 catches, 181 yards on 16 targets, A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith, 5 catches, 126 yards. What did you make of the top two receivers today, Tim?
I mean, they were just being their, sort of dominant selves. And, Devontae Smith, for as much as he hates the cold, he seems to produce in that, doesn't he?
No issues today, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even though he hates it, and he caught him mic'd up the other week, where he's like, he was complaining about it openly, but when he gets on the field, we've seen that he's a tough dude, and they're blessed with a 1-2 of wide receivers that they've rarely, if ever, have had over the course of their organization's history. I mean, they're top notch, they're healthy. Jalen Hurts is definitely benefiting from these guys who are able to win their one-on-ones and are very detailed and are where they're supposed to be on those timing throws. Like, all of it matters. And A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith make Jalen Hurts look good, just like Jalen Hurts returns the favor and helps make the whole operation work. And so, they've been a huge, huge part. I mean, if you look at on the opposite side, and St. Brown is kind of the leading receiver for Chicago, who ended up getting hurt himself in this game, and then you flip the field and you see Smith and Brown out there, you just realize, what an advantage it is to have receivers of that quality, both as an organization and certainly as a quarterback.
We are very lucky in this city to have the football team that we do, and we're very lucky for you taking the time to join us. So appreciate it, Tim. We'll let you go warm up even more. Maybe pop on some Anita Baker for the trip back, just like Jalen Hurts. How's that sound?
It sounds great. Yeah, get into that vibe and get ready for Cowboys week.
Yes, sir. Well, we will talk to you ahead of the Cowboys game, but appreciate the time as always, Tim, and you have a safe flight back. That's Tim McManus. ESPN, ESPN.com. Incredible work as always. Yeah, and it always makes you feel better to hear Tim echo some of the thoughts and comments that we've already had. And, of course, impart some wisdom of his own on that. It makes me feel better that he's not concerned about, the long term, losing a game in the cold, because Jalen Hurts doesn't like the cold. I like what he was saying about the defensive line and everything, too. I mean, everything sounds good when a guy like Tim McManus is delivering the news, but everything also sounds good when you have a 13-1 football team to talk about. It's just, this is an exciting time for Philadelphia Eagles fans. The good thing, too, for this team, because the Phillies were kind of interesting, not to just totally shift gears, but it's going to wrap back around. The Phillies were interesting because, one, they didn't have this type of dominance in the regular season, but there were points where that team didn't seem to be all that excited internally. Because they had a tougher
during
time.
the regular season, you're saying?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
You're looking at the Sixers right now. And the Sixers, I mean, they've got potential. They're on a good stretch right now. Won their last 4, playing well recently. But they don't have that internal pop. And I guess part of that comes from being 13-1. But even before this team was 13-1, really from the jump this year, you get the sense, maybe not from the quarterback, because Jalen Hurts is as stoic as anybody on the face of the earth. But this team is as excited about their performance as this city is. And that's great. When I think back to 2017, one of the things that made me uber confident in that team's opportunity to compete for and win the Super Bowl was how much they believed in themselves. And that manifests itself in different ways for different players. For Jalen Hurts, it's very quiet confidence. But for the team as a whole, really good teams, I like them better when they not start feeling themselves to the point where they overlook opponents or get cocky or anything like that. Celebrating success, though, is an important thing. And more so than the fan base celebrating success, because we always will here in Philly. That's kind of the point of fans, right? It's in the definition of the word fanatic. But seeing a team celebrate their success the way this team enjoys it and the way they enjoy it with each other is just, it's awesome, too. It's a great time right now.
Yeah, they're confident, but they're not overly cocky. They just look like they're on a mission. They look like they know they're the best team in football. Even off a lesser game, quote unquote, like today, there's just positive vibes, and there's confident vibes in the locker room that you get from this team. And you love that because it confirms what you're seeing with your eyes. We think and what we see, we know this team is a really good football team. We know how good they can be. We know what their ceiling is. When you see the players having that same kind of feel and having the confidence that they have, why are you staring at me?
I'm just looking at you. You're talking,
you're like,
and I'm looking at you.
Okay. Sorry, you threw me off that. You were like,
do you want me to turn? Don't worry, I'll turn around while you make this
thank
point.
Thank you. Dude, my apologies. The way that he was like, with how confident this team is, how confident they're playing, the way that they just seem like they are absolutely on a mission. It's nice to see here. It really is, because it's confirming what we see with our eyes, that this is a really good football team, and this team has unlimited potential, and there is no ceiling to this football team unless it's a Super Bowl. Dude, you were
Can I turn back around now? Oh,
you were in my,
God forbid I pay
soul.
God forbid I pay attention to what you're saying.
You threw me off there. I'm not gonna lie.
I was listening to what you were saying. No, it's okay. I'll stop listening.
Yeah,
Tom.
that'd be great. That'd be awesome. My apologies.
We're falling apart with just a couple minutes left to go.
The show. My apologies.
No, you're absolutely fine. That's a great point by you. I caught every bit of it because I was attentively listening.
Yeah, very much so.
To
I
what
can
my
tell.
co-host is saying, but that's okay. I guess you just tune me out when I talk.
Here's
the thing. So we've talked to Tim McManus. We've heard from Jalen Hurts. We've heard from Nick Sirianni. The Philadelphia Eagles are done playing the Chicago Bears. They're wrapping up and they're getting ready to head back to Philadelphia. So do you understand what that all means? Well, it means...
What's that?
That we're ready coming up. You're going to get D. Lineman and Ray Dunn coming up next. We're ready to hand it off to them. Just here in a couple minutes when they come up and they'll have their reaction to the Eagles win and everything. But it means we get to be the first to do something on these airwaves, Tom.
Is that right?
Yes. Allow me, and Tom, if he's actually going to listen to me.
I will try my best.
To welcome everybody out there officially to Dallas Week.
Dallas Week. It's here.
As of right now, we're in it. And the NFC East is on the line. And the whole NFC, seating-wise, of course, is on the line. And we're going in to that rat stadium with that rat owner and that terrible team that lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars and doesn't deserve to be on the field with your Philadelphia Eagles, has been talking all messes of trash and Micah Parsons and whatever any of them want to say. And we're going down there to take the whole darn thing. The whole darn thing. The NFC East, top seed, all of it on the line. And, of course, the Eagles, because they're the significantly better team, well, they could win it the week after or the week after that. So it doesn't all rest on that one game, but it's all up for grabs. And it is Dallas Week. Can't wait.
Finally, we're here. This game's been circled, obviously, since the schedule came out. And obviously, with how good the Eagles have been this season and with how good the Cowboys have been this season, we haven't been able to wait to get to this point where it is finally Dallas Week. Christmas Eve might be the most watched regular season game of all time. Fox did their little promo of it, and it's normally game of the week. No, they said game of the year, which it very well may be the game of the year. I know that Bills and Vikings game was a pretty good game as well a couple weeks ago.
But as far as implications,
yes.
So far, outside of the playoffs, this is the game of the year.
Game of the year, especially with the talk that we've heard, the chatter from Micah Parsons, putting that out there last week. And I'm curious if that gets brought up again tomorrow, potentially, and throughout the week to some of these players like Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, and so forth. I can't wait. It's going to be such an awesome week. It's going to be so exciting. I'm looking at the box score from one Dallas Cowboys, Jacksonville Jaguars game, and I see some things that I like. Dak Prescott, 2 interceptions. Trevor Lawrence, 318 passing yards. Travis Etienne, 103 rushing yards, 500 total yards. Zay Jones, 3 touchdowns today. I'm assuming at least one of them was on Trayvon Diggs. That has me feeling even better than I was going into this game against the Dallas Cowboys, and I cannot wait for Christmas Eve.
Yeah, that's Zay Jones. That's not Julio Jones. That's Zay Jones.
No.
Wait for what A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are going to do to these guys. Oh, man, I cannot wait. It's officially Dallas week, and the Eagles are in such great position to make it an incredible Christmas Eve and a wonderful holiday here in Philadelphia. Listen, this is not the culmination of the season. We have bigger goals. They may not in Dallas after what just happened with them, but with the Philadelphia Eagles being 13-1, we certainly do in this city. But it would be a great culmination to the regular season to just take everything you need to get before the playoffs in Dallas coming up Saturday on Christmas Eve. That's what you have. That's the opportunity you've earned with the Philadelphia Eagles 25-20 victory over the Chicago Bears today. Your 13-1 football team. So much fun. And it's going to be an absolute, incredibly fun week leading up to that here on 97.5 The Fanatic. So, Tom, that is all our time for our post-game coverage. You got, again, Ray Dunn, D-lineup coming up next. They're going to continue to talk Eagles football and everything that went on today in the Windy City on Soldier Field. But, man, this was fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Appreciate you, as always, being along.
Not that dick. Thanks for having me.
Well,
thanks for staring into my soul when I'm trying to make a point.
No problem at
Derailing
all.
me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan, for running everything back there, getting the pressers, running the board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Haley, for running the YouTube. Thank you to everyone who called, tweeted, listened, all of that good stuff. And we will not have postgame next week due to the holidays. I'll be, I believe I might be jumping on the pregame show, so you might still hear me.
Very nice.
We won't talk to you as a postgame show until after the holidays. So I do want to take the time as well to say, man, it's been such a fun season so far. We're far from done. But this time of year, you get a little nostalgic. You get a little thankful. And just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas if you do indeed celebrate. A happy holidays to everybody. And just a heartfelt thank you for the year we've already had here on Eagles Postgame and how much fun it's been with all of you following along, chiming in, and the opportunity we get to do this with such a magical season so far. Again, far from done. But it's been a really fun run, and hopefully you all have a Merry Christmas, a happy holidays, and hopefully the next time we talk to you, Eagles postgame capacity-wise, well, it will be with the Philadelphia Eagles as the champions of the NFC East, the 1 seed in the NFC, and very much ready for the playoffs at Lincoln Financial Field here in Philadelphia. That's all for us, and we will talk to you next time here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
E-A-G-L-E-S Eagles!
Go Birds!
Go Birds!
97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, it's